Audio check 1, 2, 3. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel for the final time this season here on ACC on the PlayStation 5 for the GT3 Championship here. And we have got a race at Kyalami for the final round of the season for both tiers. We've currently got the tier 2s out on track right now, just starting their qualifying session for tonight. Championship in tier 2 has been decided already. Robe wrapped it up last week and he's not here this week, so he did that in the nick of time, I'll tell you that. But who's going to get those 6 promotion spots up into tier 1? Standings not actually up to date at the moment. I've been a bit behind with a few things. I just don't know. I've just been all over the place. But the standings will be getting up to date actually tomorrow after this, or I'll actually, you know what? No, I'll do it after the race. I'll do both of the last 2 races after this race, so I'll get the championship standings up to date so we know who the top 6 are before we actually go into the tier 1 server, which is coming up after this actually. So I'll make sure that's all ready and all sorted before we actually finish for the before we move over to the tier 1s. So the 6 drivers who get promotion into tier 1 will know who they are at the end of tonight. Also, sign up forms for next season will be going live tomorrow, so guys, if you are one of the drivers, if you're a tier 2 driver who's playing the stream in the background, or if you're a tier 1 racer set to be racing later on who's checking out the tier 2s, the standings or the sign ups will be up tomorrow, so I'll be getting that ready, and you'll be able to put your name down for next season. If you've been watching this season and you fancy getting involved, then also you'll be able to do that tomorrow, as the sign up form is obviously a new start and new drivers will be able to put their names down for the coming season. We've had 2 tiers throughout the course of this season. We've had pretty much 20 drivers plus in every single race for both tiers across all of the rounds this season, barring I think 1 week where we had 19 in tier 1, and obviously this week looks like we've got 19 in tier 2. It's the final race of the season. A lot of pit drivers have got nothing to race for here tonight, so it's usually the final race is the lowest turnout of a season. You always find that in any sim league, and typically it's the case here tonight. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm sure we're going to sign off with an exciting race, and hopefully it's clean and fair and just all around good action here at Kyalami tonight. We've got 8 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now, please do smash the like button. Subscribe to the Motive Racing channel as well if you haven't already. If you enjoy watching sim racing on the PlayStation 5 or just in general, then obviously feel free to hit the bell and be notified when we go live in future, so you won't miss anything here from Motive. As we can see there in the background, somebody's going a bit wide there, going onto the grass there a little bit, but yeah, here we are then for the final time of this season here in the tier 2. As I said before, our champion of this season, who wrapped it up last week, Robe, not here this week, so he's not going to be signing off with a victory for his championship, but nonetheless he managed to do so. Plenty of times this season. What is going to happen here tonight? We've got Tinsel in the comments saying up the Bentleys. Luke van der Street says hopefully I can be quick in this quali. Luke van der Street's currently in the driving around in the number 7 BMW. He's currently coming through towards the end of, well, it looks to be the middle sector of the lap at the moment. He's obviously nobody's set a time yet, so he's not actually P1 in terms of the classification. That's just where he is defaultly on the leaderboard. But yeah, he's commenting there saying hopefully he can be quick. He's looking to try and get a strong result here tonight is Luke van der Street, so he's not really in a position where he can challenge for the promotion spots, but nonetheless I'm sure he'd like to go out with a bit of a bang here tonight. Andrew, who I believe is in one of the promotion positions, or he's close to being in a promotion position, currently goes top of the qualifying leaderboard, so he's setting a blistering pace out there. You know what? Seeing as there's not really too many people watching right now, I'm just going to do the standings. I'm going to take 5 minutes here. I'm going to come back on for the end of qualifying. I'm going to get these championship standings done, because it's not really fair on the guys not knowing the situation. You know what? I'm going to do them. I'm going to get these championship standings up so that we know who's in contention for a top 6. So bear with, guys. I'll be literally 5 minutes. I won't be long. I just need to get the results up from last week's race and fill it in on simleaguepro.com. So yeah, just bear with. We'll be back in a moment. guys, we're back on here for the qualifying session here for the Tier 2s, the final round of the season at Kyalami here at Motive Racing. And I've just done the championship standings. I've got them up to date now. I've got them in front of me right here. So I'm going to read them out. And the situation is, it's currently Robe who's won the championship already, leading on 268 points. Henry sits in second, and I'm watching right now on provisional pole on 204 points, 64 points behind. He's only 5 points clear of Guido Christ as well, so the battle for second in the championship could very much be on. And also Kev Sim is only 14 points behind Henry on 190 in fourth in the championship, and he's currently provisional pole now. He's just moved ahead of Henry by 0.3 of a second. Then Andrew sits on 187, only 3 points behind Kev Sim, only 17 off of second place in the championship. He's in fifth place on 187. Caprighi is 1 point behind Andrew in sixth on 186. He's way down the order, so he could be in trouble here tonight, I'll tell you that. And the reason why is because Tumbaz is only 15 points behind him in seventh on 171. You've got Exeron, who's on 160 in 8th, so he is 26 points off of a promotion spot. He needs a really strong result to be in with a shout. One driver who could potentially nick a promotion spot tonight, who I've got my eyes on particularly, is Kangi. He's 29 points behind Caprighi. If you look at the pace of tonight currently, saying that Caprighi has just gone in P7, so he's only 7/10 off of the pole time right now. So he's actually improved by quite a bit, but Kangi sits 29 points off of a promotion spot, so can he get a strong result here tonight and maybe nick top 6 here? It's going to be very close. Diego completing the top 10 in the championship coming into tonight, and he is on 149 points in 10th place. But the promotion battle well on as Kev Sim, the provisional pole sitter, bins it into the wall there and returns to the pits. No surprise to see him doing that. Henry returning to the pits, that is, not binning it into the wall. But we've got Henry just coming out of the pits, ready to have another crack here at pole. Provisionally sat on the front row, but he's not far ahead of Kangi and Guido Christ, who are sat in 3rd and 4th right now. But this is going to be a tense final race to the season. The top 6 guys are actually a little way ahead. The gap between 6th and 7th is 15 points. Caprighi sits in that 6th spot. Tumbaz is the one who's 15 points behind him in 7th. But I'm looking at Tumbaz, Exeron, Kangi. Potentially these 3 could be in with a shout of pushing Caprighi out. Caprighi needs to have a consistent race here tonight. He needs to just keep himself consistent and cool, not crack under the pressure here. But tonight could be a big night for these guys. As my audio, I'm just checking my audio, see if it's on. Should be on, should be fine. Should be all good. Yeah, audio is absolutely fine. But yeah, currently Kev Sim in the pits, the provisional pole sitter. He's just sat there at the moment, but yeah, everybody out except from Kev Sim and DGR Snoopy at this point. And everybody's going for it here in the final stages of this qualifying session, the final qualifying session of the season for the Tier 2s for Motive's GT3 Championship here on the PlayStation 5. As I said before, if you're interested in joining for next season, then look out for the sign-ups. They will be out tomorrow. Tomorrow in the afternoon, we'll be getting the sign-up forms up for the GT3 Championship here on a Sunday. Also, we'll be putting a sign-up form out for the Porsche Super Cup and the GT3 Sprint Cup. Porsches will be running on the Saturday and the Sprint Cup will be on Wednesdays, so it'll probably be all in one form. What I'll probably do is I'll put all of the ACC leagues into one sign-up form, and then drivers can just select which ones they want to do. That's probably going to be how we'll do it. It'll be very similar to the sign-up form that we had for the GT3 Championship this season, except that it will have 2 other championships that you can sign up for as well. We had a lot of interest in the Porsche Super Cup, which we put out a little poll saying who'd be up for a Porsche Super Cup, and it had 20 plus votes, and obviously we're hoping to get a few more than that signing up to the championship, so we'll probably be needing to put up a server or something. That should get some interest in, and yeah, looking forward to seeing that, because it's a couple of years since we've done a Porsche Super Cup. We did one back on the PS4 version of ACC, back when ACC had first come to consoles. It was about 2021 it would have been, so yeah, about 2 years ago now we did a Porsche Super Cup. and the GT3 Sprint Cup. I know there's interest to race on a Wednesday because we did a social race at the beginning of this season on a Wednesday, which was very well attended indeed. I think we had 22 people, and that was a very, very late kind of organised event as well. It was literally the last minute, put out a post saying who'd be up for doing a social race, and yeah, loads of people turned up to that. So definitely we need a couple more nights on ACC. One night a week's definitely not doing us justice here. We now need to really sort of step it up and provide a bit more of an opportunity for guys to race, because I'm sure that lots of these guys would be up for it. But nonetheless, we have got just over a minute left to go in this session, as looks as though somebody's just improved. Was it Andrew there? Yeah, Andrew goes into second place by 3 thousandths of a second, so he pushes Henry down to third place. So Andrew provisionally on the front row of the grid as it stands, so he's doing an absolutely brilliant job there. Kevsim's still your man on provisional pole there on a 1:41.5. And Kangi's pulling off to the side. Looks like his session's potentially done. What about Guido Christ? Can he improve here? He does improve up into fourth place, so great lap there from Guido Christ. Finds a couple of tenths there near the end of this session. Totally 0K's out there, but he's going to invalidate his lap there because he went very wide onto the grass, so I think his session is probably going to be done. Can Capriglia, the man sat in the final promotion spot, bring himself up the order a little bit in the closing stages here? As let's see, he's coming into the final sector here at Kyalami for round 8 of 8 here for season 3. Can Capriglia find a little bit of time here? Oh, he's lost it. He's just binned it there into the wall, and he's not going to improve. That's going to be his session done now. No improvement there for Capriglia at the end of this session. Watching Andrew as he's coming down the hill in towards the final sector. Can he find 3 tenths and Nick Polar for Kevsim? I find that unlikely, but nothing's impossible. I mean, he could do, but Henry coming into the final sector as well. Is he just ahead of Andrew on the track, or is he behind him? No, he's behind him. Oh, Andrew sideways there to the penultimate corner. That's going to be his chances of improving gone and out the window. What about Henry? Is Andrew's in the foreground there? He needs to be careful. Henry, he would have had to back out of that a little bit. I'm sure he would have had a bit of a brown pants moment there as Andrew was losing it in front of him. Henry, nonetheless, can he improve here at the end of this session? He comes over the line, and he does. Wow, Henry there, despite having to take evasive actions with Andrew losing it in front of him, has taken pole there by 2 tenths of a second as well. So he didn't even just scrape it, he's taken it convincingly there. Guido Christ coming to the final few corners. He's going to find 6 tenths if he is to take pole away here from Henry. But Kevsim has been sat on pole for the duration of this session, and Henry there just managing to nab him right at the end. What about Guido Christ? Can he defy the odds here? No. He stays in 4th place. So Henry looking like he's going to be on pole position for the final Tier 2 race of the season and consolidating his 2nd place in the championship, which he currently holds. Exeron here is coming to the final part of the lap. What about Luke van der Streets? He's parked it, so Luke van der Streets isn't going to improve. So it's Exeron, the final driver, who's on a lap here. Can he get himself into the top 10? As here he comes into the final corner now. Driving in the number 6 McLaren here is Exeron, onto the power here and up towards the line. What is it going to be for Exeron as he comes over? And he stays in P12, so no change there for Exeron. So that is going to be that then for the Tier 2 qualifying session here at Kyalami. It's going to be Henry on pole position by just 2 tenths ahead of Kevsim. So, you know, not massive amounts, but certainly Henry clearly the quickest driver out there in that qualifying session. Kevsim will line up alongside him on the front row. Now this is quite crucial for the championship because these two in a bit of a battle for second in the championship, and so is Guido Christ as well. In fact, Henry, Guido Christ and Kevsim occupy those 2nd, 3rd and 4th spots in the championship. Now obviously that's been slightly flipped on his head, but Andrew's putting himself in the mix as well. Andrew's 5th in the standings, so really you've got all of the top contenders in that mix. One driver who's unfortunately been plagued by reliability this season is Kangi. He sits in 9th in the standings. He's got an outside chance of getting into the top 6, but he needs one of the guys who are between 2nd and 6th to have an absolute nightmare, really, if he is to have a chance of getting into those promotion spots. He really does need somebody to have a bit of a slip up here. But here we are then, we're on the clock here. Less than 2 minutes to go until the deadline for these guys to get their setups locked in and ready to go. Obviously you can't ready up until the 30-second mark, so you have to be on the ball. You can't can't afford to zone out and forget, because then you'll be in trouble and you have to start from the pits. That's something that I learned on this ACC game quite early on, is that obviously you can't ready up until the 30-second mark, but also if you don't ready up, you don't start. So you can't sort of like take a break or pop to the loo or run off and grab a drink or something, because then you're going to miss the start ultimately and you're going to be in trouble. So here we are then, for the final time this season here in the Tier 2's Automotive for the GT3 Championship. What a season we've had across 8 rounds. This is the 8th round, 7 rounds so far. This is the 8th of the season. We've already crowned our champion for Tier 2 this season in Rowe, but who is going to get the promotion spots? Who's going to nab the best of the rest spot as well? Because Rowe, let's be honest, he's had a dominant season this season. He's well clear in the championship, wrapped it up with a round to spare. He sits 64 points clear of anybody else. But Henry's been a standout performer this season with 2 victories and a pole position. Let's not forget at Suzuka as well. And Henry to me always stands out as a bit of a well, you can never rule him out, is what I'm trying to say. There's always a chance that Henry can win the race, because he's always got those he's got that tyre conservation skills, which I think a lot of drivers wish they had. And he tends to go the whole race on one set of tyres. Very rarely do you see Henry coming in for a tyre change, or fuel for that matter. He literally stops in his box and he's away in no time. So is it going to be the case for Henry tonight, starting on pole, or is he going to go for a tyre change, fuel change strategy? What is going to happen here tonight for the Tier 2s for the final time of this season? As we've got Totally 0K there in the comments saying this is to be the limit esport level for us all. Tier 2 is on fire now. Absolutely is. It's very competitive indeed. As a spur time there in the comments saying good luck all. Epiphany says good luck guys for the last race of the season. And Robert Rolonsky is actually Robe, the champion of this Tier 2 division, who couldn't make tonight, but nonetheless commenting here on the stream. Good to see you chiming in there, mate. Hopefully you'll have a good season next season in Tier 1. And oh my goodness, you would not believe it, the man who sits in the final promotion spot 6th in the championship, Caprigia, has not readied up, so he will start from the pit lane here for this one. He's already in trouble in the early stages. Can he mount an incredible comeback here in this race to keep himself in the hunt for a promotion place into Tier 1 next season? Nonetheless, we're coming down to turn 1 for the first time. Henry seems to have got a good getaway. We've got side by side here between Kevsim and Andrew. Andrew's looking down the inside, but he's not far enough alongside him to make a move, as we can see the McLaren there of Guido Trickeris trying to go around the outside of Andrew, and has he managed to complete the move? Is there almost contact there, but Guido Chris backs out of it. Andrew over the curb, gets it all wrong, and Guido Chris squeezes through, and there's contact there between Andrew and Tony 0K. Tony 0K had nowhere to go, and Andrew's rejoining the track in the path of a few other drivers here, and looks as though Snoopy was involved in that as well. Got caught up there in Andrew's incident. Is Henry leading ahead of Kevsim right now? Guido Chris there into 3rd place, made a couple of positions there at the start. Spur time now in 4th place, so he's really gained a few places here in the first part of this race. Exteron there down the inside of Kangi, getting himself into 5th place. You've got Tombaz there in 7th ahead of Diego, followed by Error Code with Jill Silvering completing the top 10. Snoopy there in 11th place ahead of Day, who's got Andrew just behind him. So Andrew with big damage on the right hand side of that car. Haven't seen the left side of it, but the front also seems to have taken a bit of a pounding here. And Andrew down in 13th place. So Andrew and Caprigia both suffering major damage to their potential promotion pushes here in this Tier 2 division up into Tier 1 next season. Kangi running in 6th place, so isn't really in a position to capitalise too much on that. But Tombaz is now in 6th place ahead of Kangi, so Tombaz here driving a cracker here in this final race of the season. Can he capitalise on Andrew and Caprigia not having the best of rounds so far, and maybe nab a top 6 here in this season? What a first lap it has been. It's absolutely nail-biting stuff right now, as there are the leaders coming through the final corner to complete lap 1. There's Exeron ahead of Tombaz. Kangi's looking to the inside of Tombaz into the final corner, but so much going on right now. Andrew into the pits at the end of the first lap. Absolutely no surprise there to see that with his damage, and obviously he just needs to get himself together. I think he just needs to take a moment to take a deep breath and consider his race. It's not over yet. There's a long way to go, and obviously you can make your mandatory pit stop at any time in the race, so there's no constraints on when you can do it. So this will count as his mandatory, so it's not the end of the world for Andrew. He can definitely come back from this. But Henry and Kevsim out the front, 0.6 of a second separating the top 2. They're a second and a half clear of Guido Christ, who's got a second further back to spur time. Exeron is ahead of Tombaz, Kangi and Diego, where they've also got Error Code and Jill Silvering right with them as well. There's a train of cars here all the way from 5th down down to 12. So it's 8 cars literally just running line of stern right now as Extron just ahead of Tumbas, and Kangi's down the inside of Tumbas here, but he can't make it happen there. He gets a bit of a slide there, does Kangi on the exit, and he's actually alongside. No, he has to back out, so he's still behind Tumbas. Tumbas holding on to 6th place for the time being. But Henry out the front, currently controlling things. Kev Sims keeping him on his toes. Guido Chris dropping off for the 2 leaders a little bit over the course of the first stint of this race. You've got side by side here, Tumbas trying to hold the inside here. Kangi trying to go around the outside of Tumbas. Can he get a bit of can he get the traction here and get a good run coming down this long straight? You can see that Tumbas has got the roadblock in position there. That Porsche currently presenting no opportunities, but the Bentley's looking down the inside, down the end of the straight, and is he going to go too late on the brakes there? Kangi makes the move on Tumbas, and that is job done there for Kangi up into 6th place, and Diego's now looking to try and knock Tumbas while he's down here. These two are side by side, and he squeezes through, and Diego up into 7th place. So Tumbas losing 2 places in a couple of corners. He's now looking back to the inside of Diego here into the final corner, but nothing doing. Diego's got that move done there up into 7th place, and Kangi is not done here. He is now looking on the back here of Exeron down the start finish straight. So Kangi trying to crack on here, and obviously he's not a million miles off of a promotion place. Capriglia down in P15 has got a lot of work to do as Totally Zero K looks to have just done Nextimate there up into 13th place into turn 1. Nextimate looking to the inside, trying to come back at him, but Totally Zero K's got that one done there up into P13. But an exciting first couple of laps to this race. Is Henry leading ahead of Kevsim. They're still gapping. Guido Chris running in 3rd place right now. There is spur time in 4th. Exeron here and Kangi side by side as Kangi's looking to try and make this move around the outside, and he's done that one absolutely superbly there. Kangi moving himself through up into 5th place. He's going to have to keep his wits about him here because Exeron's going to try and go for the cover. Oh, and there's contact there between the two of them. Oh no, and Kangi's going to have a bit of damage there as you see Diego having to swerve out of the way. Tumbas making his way through. Tumbas suddenly in a great position again, but Jill Silver in there also caught up in that as well. And where has he ended up in all of that? Kangi's way down the back. He's lost it again. Oh, and he's in the wall. And Kangi's chances of promotion spot for this Tier 2 division here this season look to have gone down the pan, and I don't think we're going to be seeing Kangi in Tier 1 as it stands here in this one. He's way down the pack. Where has he come out in all of this? I think he's come out basically almost down in last place here. Oh, you couldn't make it up here. He's behind Exeron. He's in 16th place. So Kangi there, no 17th. Oh my gosh. Kangi there way down the order, and in the meantime Kev Sims made the move on Henry. Oh, Henry's made a mistake. Henry's got huge damage there on the front of his Audi, so he's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 3. So Henry there was the race leader. Kev Sim now leads. Henry coming in to try and save his blushes here, but he's going to have to be fixing damage there, and that's going to be a much longer pit stop than he'd won. So nonetheless, he's into the pits here at the end of lap 3. Kev Sim leads the race by 2 seconds ahead of Guido Christ. Error codes on the back of Tumbas as Diego looks like he's got damage there on the front of his car. I don't know what's happened there to him. Jill Silver in there running just ahead of Diego. Diego's got pressure here from Day, and I tell you what, Day 666 driving a hell of a race here in his final race of the season. He's currently knocking on the door of a 7th place finish here as he's looking down the inside, but can't make the move there. Diego's just going to cover him off nicely coming through that section of the track. But absolute drama here in the first 3.5 laps of this race. I don't know what to say there. Oh, honestly, that is really quite horrible there for Kangi. The situation he was in there, he just got caught up in it. He had a load of drivers coming past and got caught up by the pack, and I think he had another spin as he was trying to get going. He might have got punted around by somebody. They were all just coming through and there was just nothing for him to do. Henry is still in the pits, so he's still getting that damage repaired. This is going to cost him huge points in the championship, because obviously I don't think he's going to be too worried about getting second in the championship, but his big problem here is going to be the fact that he's got plenty of drivers who are going to be there to take a promotion spot off of him. As it stands in this season, he's currently sat on 204 points. He is 33 points clear of Tumbas, who is who's the driver who's sort of knocking on the door of the promotion places. 33 points. Let's just put this into perspective. So currently, as it stands in this race, Tumbas would score 30 points. So as it stands, Henry should be all right to get a promotion spot as long as he finishes the race and just doesn't make any more mistakes in DNF. But for sure, it's going to put him under a bit of pressure here tonight. He needs to make sure that he completes the race distance here tonight. Diego's looking over the back of Jules Silver in here as they're looking into the braking zone, and he's going to make the move there as Diego. Does Jules Silver manage to get the cut back on him? I don't think he does. No, Diego's got that one done there up into P6, so good move there from Jules Silver, sorry, from Diego even. Day's currently got pressure here from Totally Zero K, who's trying to come back through the pack after not the greatest of starts to this race, got involved in a couple of incidents here and there. But he's looking to attack here on the back of Day as they're coming down the start-finish straight. Is he going to be able to make a move into turn one? In the foreground you can see that Diego's still got Jules Silver on the back of him. Diego's actually got damage as well, so fair play. He's certainly managing to extract the best out of his car despite the damage. Tony's okay trying to get a couple of a cutback here on Day. Day's currently holding his ground at the moment in 8th place. Luke Van der Street's there in P10 trying to creep closer to these guys right now. Tony's okay, looks like he's getting held up a little bit here behind Day. He's just looking for an opening, but Day so far has not been giving him anything to go on. Tony's okay has also got a bit of damage as well, so he's going to be a bit tentative about going late on the brakes. It could very easily cause the rear end to step out with the car not being as balanced as he'd like it to be. But he's looking at the inside here. Day doesn't get a great run, but was a bit twitchy there coming through that right-hander. Tony's okay looking down the inside. You want to stay off that curve on the inside, and Day I think lost it by himself there by the looks of it. Oh, we can see there in the background Luke Van der Street's getting caught up there, and Capriglia as well seems to have been maybe got caught up in that. So unfortunately for those guys, they're going to have a bit of damage there, and Luke Van der Street's is round again. Oh, and Day's struggling to get it going again. Oh, this is absolute carnage here. Tell you what, it's not been the cleanest of races here tonight. Totally Zero K continues on his way. From my perspective there on the stream, there was no contact between Day and Totally Zero K. From my perspective, from what I saw, Day lost it by himself. There didn't seem to be any contact. I don't know if there was lag or if maybe Day just was trying to give too much of a quarter, and in the end just lost it from having to leave that space and take a very awkward line. But Totally Zero K nonetheless continues on his way and can now try and chase down the guys who are 3.5 seconds up the road from him in the shape of Jill Silver, and he's just behind Diego. Diego is not too far behind Error Code either, and Tumbas is still running in 4th place at the moment, as these guys have got Henry in the midst as well. So Henry is obviously a lap down, having come in for some lengthy repairs in the early stages of this race. He's just ahead of Diego and Jill Silver in, but I can't imagine Henry's going to be in too much of a mood to let these guys by, seeing as he's got the pace to actually be in the lead of this race. He was leading in the early stages and then had his extremely long pit stop because he obviously had to repair the car. But you've got Diego there making a move there on Henry, who goes a bit wide. Henry's also going to now have to watch out because Jill Silvering's attacking on the back of him as well here. But Kevson currently leading the race, only by 2 seconds though. Guido Christ is still there on the back of him, so it could still be a race on for the win. Obviously, Kessim's just got the edge at the moment, but Gilchrist hasn't lost any time to him in the last few laps. They've been matching each other for quite some time now. The gap was kind of like steadily increasing in the opening couple of laps, and now Gilchrist has kind of stabilised it a little bit, so it could definitely still be a chance for Gilchrist to win this final race of the night. Epiphany reminding me there that Tier 1 needs a reset. I'm on that now, guys. Apologies for that. I'm going to just decrease the practice time to 50 minutes. Every week, a Tier 1 driver has to comment on the stream to remind me to do this. I'm always forgetting. There you go, guys. Let me know if there are any problems. Should be all ready now. Henry saying, I hate that corner, 3 minutes of repairs. That is absolutely, that takes the cake, Henry. It really does. But still plenty of laps in this race. Still plenty of time. 46 minutes on the clock. So it's certainly not game over at this point. Glenn saying in the comments, good luck, Ericode. I just want a quiet drive in Tier 1 to race tonight, please. If you can get that, Glenn, and there'll be some good points in the bag for you, mate. Highest runner of the pit stop drivers currently is Andrew, who had a little bit of damage at the start, but not massive amounts, and he's now trying to pressure Sparky Franchise here for his 13th place. In fact, I think he's got ahead of him. Yeah, he has got ahead of him, so Andrew's now running in 13th place into some clean air. Is now going to try and chase down what looks to be Day in front of him. So next up for Andrew will be Day 666, who's coming into the final sector of the lap right now. But Jill Silverin is currently still on the back of Diego. These two have been running pretty much nose to tail for the last few laps since Diego made the move on him. Jill Silverin's certainly not giving up. But both of them have actually got ahead of Henry here. Henry's ahead before his lap car. So I don't know if Henry's maybe dropped it somewhere, made a bit of a mistake. But he's now running behind these two. I wouldn't have thought Henry would have paid too much attention to the blue flags when you consider the fact that he was leading the race in the early stages, so he's certainly not slower than these guys. But he is currently behind the McLaren of Jill Silverin right now, and Jill Silverin's lost a bit of time here to Diego. Diego's pulled out a second to him now, but it's still 2 seconds and well behind Ericode. Gap at the front between Kev Sim and Diggy Gilchrist is still just over 2 seconds, so not much has really changed between the top two over the last few laps. It's still kind of staying at around the same. Exeron still on the back of Kangi here as these guys battle over 15th and 16th places. Ericode creeping closer to the back of Tumbaz could be maybe sensing a chance for a move in maybe the next lap or two. Just over a second between those two, but it'll probably be under a second as they're coming around to complete lap 9 of the race. Let's keep an eye and see what the gap is there. It's just under a second now between Tumbaz and Ericode. Andrew is still on the back of Day here as they're coming through into the final sector. You can see they're just under 4/10 of a second, and Day goes very wide, and Andrew there swoops up the inside. Thank you, says Andrew, for that one, Day, and he's up the inside up into P12, and obviously he's made his pit stop already, so Andrew in a decent position here in this race. Where is he going to filter out once everybody else has made their pit stop? And that will only be answered by the passage of time. But the gap between Kev Sim and Gilchrist has come down a little bit here. It's now 1.8 between those two, so Gilchrist has been just chipping away a little bit over the last lap, gained 2/10. Ericode still creeping closer to the back of Tumbaz here, 0.6 of a second between these two at the moment. Tony's okay there, very wide onto the gravel as he's trying to attack there on Jill Silver and makes a bit of a mistake there. He's got Snoopy and Caprigia. Oh, actually Snoopy's not, it's not Caprigia on the back of Snoopy. That is, in fact, that is actually Luke Van der Streets, who's running just ahead of Snoopy here. But obviously Luke Van der Streets is a lap car, so he's going to have to move aside here. Or not move aside, he's going to have to be aware of the BMW of Snoopy right behind him. Gap still continuing to come down between Kev Sim and Guido Chris by a couple of tenths a lap at the moment. Guido Chris seems to have the edge over Kev Sim, so Kev Sim's going to have to be on his toes here. Guido Chris is definitely just, I think, got the momentum at this point. Error code still on the back of Tumbaz as these guys batting over 4th and 5th, but the gap's not really come down anymore. Obviously, it's pretty much nip and tuck between these guys as it is. Totally Zero K has still not managed to get ahead of Jill Silver in 4th, 7th. Snoopy there just ahead of Caprigia. In fact, no, sorry, I do apologise. That's not. I already knew this. It was Luke Van der Streets there ahead of Snoopy. There are the two leaders. Kev Sim and Guido Chris coming through the final couple of corners here on lap 11, and it's pretty much as you were, but Guido Chris definitely seems to be a little bit closer this time around. In fact, that's not much more than a second here. I'd say that's just maybe about 1.1 between those two. It is 1.1, so wow, Guido Chris has gained half a second on that last lap and could now be standing on the verge here of taking the lead off of Kev Sim. Now this could be important for the battle for second in the championship because, like I said earlier, obviously, especially with Henry now being out of the picture, so Guido Chris sits third in the championship on 199 points. In fact, Kev Sim needs to finish ahead of Guido Chris to actually win this championship, and he's currently got a 1.2 second gap, but Guido Chris is running that down. But if the race was to end right now, with Guido Chris being 9 points ahead of Kev Sim, these two are now in just a straight out battle here, really, for second in the championship. But if Kev Sim were to finish the race and win the race and Guido Chris were to come second, then Kev Sim would actually nab Guido Chris to that second in the championship. So this is now a straight fight here. Whoever finishes first out of these two, and let's be honest, by the looks of it, is between them two for this race win. Whoever finishes first out of them will take second in the championship. So this is an exciting narrative to this race. Who is going to take it? I guess we'll find out over the next 40 minutes. But Error Code still on the back of Tumbaz. Totally Zero K still pressuring back at Jill Silver in here for 7th. Andrew, as we said before, the highest runner of the pit stop drivers, running in 12 places, 12 seconds behind Lexime, who currently occupies that 11th spot. As Kev Sim's just responded a little bit to Guido Chris' pace this time around. It was 1.1 at the start of this lap. It looks to be about 1.3 now, I reckon, between those two as they're coming over the line. That's 1.5, so Guido Chris didn't get a great run there out of the last corner, so it just went up a little bit as they came over the line. But yeah, on the whole, Guido Chris has been quicker over the last few laps, but Kev Sim now starting to pick up the pace, feeling that pressure a little bit, now knows he needs to respond. Error Code still on the back of Tumbaz here as they're coming down the start-finish straight. Totally Zero K was still right on the back of Jill Silver, but just can't seem to find a way through at the moment. He's got a bit of a run coming down the start-finish straight. He's going to have a look into turn 1. Let's have a look here as he's coming onto the brakes. Just thinks better of it for the time being, playing it safe. Obviously he's got damage on the car, so he does need to be cautious here. And Jill Silver currently doing what he has to do at the moment to hold on to 7th place. But Totally Zero K really pushing it here. Jill Silver doesn't get a great run coming through that section, but I don't think that Totally Zero K is going to have enough of himself alongside to go round him here. And Jill Silver once again covers that inside line off, holding on grimly here in this battle for 7th place. Thomas has gapped Error Code a little bit, and that's now over a second just between those two. This battle here for 7th still rages on. Gap 1.7 between Kev Sim and Guido Chris. Luke Van der Streets coming into the pits here at the end of lap 12. Kev Sim and Guido Chris at the end of lap 13, and Guido Chris 1.4 behind Kessim, so yeah, it's kind of staying around the same. Gidacris was a 10th quicker on that previous lap, so all in all he is chipping away still at that gap. Big shout out to Spur Time, currently running in 3rd place. What a race he's having in his final race of the season. But with Andrew having already pitted, is Andrew in a position to come out ahead of Spur Time once the pit stops are all said and done? Kangi a long way behind Andrew. Those two in the same boat, they've both pitted, so that is a representative gap between those two. It's over 30 seconds between Andrew and Kangi at the moment, as Leximate is into the pits here at the end of lap 13. But Tumbas just over a second ahead of Aerocode at the moment. Totally okay. He's now ahead of Jill Silver and up into 7th. And in fact, Jill Silver's lost out to Snoopy as well. So Jill Silver's lost 2 places there on that previous lap, down to 9th place. Or in fact, it might have actually been during the first sector there, because I just saw him bump down a position to Snoopy as they came over that checkpoint. So Totally okay did him on the previous lap, and Snoopy's just done him through that first sector there. Gap between the top 2 still 1.4, but it's come down a little bit through this final sector here. So Gidacris continuing to chip away at Kevsim as we come through out of the final corner. That to me, I reckon that's about 1.2 between these two. Let's see what the timing board says. 1.1 between Kevsim and Gidacris. There's error code there, letting the lap car of Henry come through. So obviously he knows that's not his fight, and Henry in a position where he's got the pace, but not really fighting for any significant points here in this one. But nonetheless, unlapping himself there on error code. Jill Silver still on the back of Snoopy here. These guys still battling over 8th and 9th places. Totally okay is gapping them a little bit here. You can see he's got well over a second here to Snoopy there. Kev Sim still your race leader by just over a second here ahead of Guido Christ. Still doing everything right so far in this race. Robe in the comments there saying, let's go Guido. Guido currently sat in P2 at the moment. Robe, so as it stands, Kevsim will pip him to that second in the championship by just 1 point as it stands. But if Guido Chris can get himself ahead of Kevsim, he will be the one to take P2 in the standings. It's a lot of motivation for both of these two. They're both in a promotion spot, and it's very unlikely that they're going to lose those promotion spots. Thomas still in 4th place right now, has got Erico within a second of him as these guys coming in towards the final sector. There's Diego there, keeping on the back of these guys at the moment. Henry a bit wide down the last corner, and Erico there just tags Tumbaz in the rear as they're coming out onto the start finish straight. Here we go. Erico tucks back in for the slipstream here. Tumbaz looks like he's going to hold on here, coming into turn 1, hugs the inside, knows that Erico is going to be looking to try and send one up the inside. Tumbaz has that preferred line, but is Erico going to go for a cutback here out of turn 1? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Tumbaz survives for the time being, but Diego's right there on the back of them. They got Totally 0k just under 5 seconds behind them, but has he got the pace to chase them down as well? Caprigi is now focusing his attention on Snoopy. You can see these guys separated by 0.2 of a second according to the timing board here. In fact, Caprigi has got ahead of Snoopy, so he's done that in the first sector somewhere, and Caprigi is now in 9th place. The timing board yet to update itself on that one. Erico and Diego have just swapped positions there, so Diego up into P5. He's done that one. Now he can focus on Tumbaz, who's running in 4th. So nicely done there from Diego. Now Erico's got to watch out because he's got the lap car of Henry all over him as well. Erico can't send it up the inside. Oh, as Erico gives a bit of a tap in the rear there. Bit rude. Kevson and Guido, the situation remains largely unchanged between these two. 1.2 seconds currently separating Kevson and Guido. So Snoopy's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 16. Big damage as well on that car, so that might take a little while to repair. Thomas still sat in fourth place at the moment. Diego's trying to pressure move into a mistake here by the looks of it. Second barrier has been broken for the first time here between Kevsim and Guido Christ. These two have been trading fastest lap times, but it's been blow for blow so far. But Guido Christ has now infiltrated Kevsim's personal space to some extent as we're coming over the line here to start lap 18. 0.666 of a second between these two. So Guido Christ now really starting to ramp it up here on Kevsim. Diego's still on the back of Tumba, as you can see, 0.4 of a second. Erico is there with them as well. Toby's okay, I'll tell you what, he is rearing them in very quickly here. He's only 2 seconds off at the back of this battle and could be fancying a fourth place here in this race. Tumba's into the pits here, and so is Erico. So those two coming in at the same time. Presumably these two half tanking it here in this race. That could provide a little bit of reassurance to the guys who are battling around them. Stop-go penalty there for car number 33, which is Snoopy, for speeding in the pits. So he's going to have to come in and try it again. Tumbaz and Erico in their boxes right now. Kev Sim and Guido Christ separated by just under 0.6 of a second now. So Guido Christ still continues to put the pressure on. He almost loses it there. He was very close there to binning it, and that would have just lost him a bit of momentum here. Still within a second, I think, of Kev Sim just, but he lost a few tenths of a second there to Guido Christ, and that will just knock his confidence a little bit. And knows that he's got a mistake in him here tonight. I think the gap is just over a second. Yeah, 1.2 now between Kev Sim and Guido Christ. So Kev Sim, that will provide him just a little bit more comfort here. Knows that the man chasing him down is maybe pushing it just a little bit too hard at this point. Erico coming out of the pits here, so he's done his mandatory pit stop. He's now off and away again. Diego here into the pits at the end of lap 18. Somebody else is coming in as well. That's Snoopy, who's coming in to serve his stop-go penalty. So Diego into the box. You can see Snoopy there ghosting through him. Gap between Kev Sim and Guido Christ is staying at just over a second at the moment, so not much is really changing after Guido Christ's mistake there on the previous lap. So he's just trying to put a lap on somebody just in front of him. That is... no, hold on, no, wow, the gap is way under 1.1 seconds, so Kev Sim must have made a small mistake there coming through the chicane, I would imagine, because that's 0.7 of a second between these two, so Kev Sim must have made had a bit of a misjudgment or something, and Guido Christ is now right on the back of him here, as these guys are coming around to put a lap on somebody who's just there. You can see coming through the penultimate corner, I think that Sparky Franchise is just in front of them. As as Kevsim pits at the end of lap of 19, so that's going to give Gidachrist the lead. Can Gidachrist get the overcut, or is Kevsim going to execute the undercut here? Let's keep an eye on Kevsim and see how quick he is in the box, see if he's full tanking it or half tanking it. He's gone well beyond the halfway mark, which suggests to me he might be full tanking it, but maybe that's a bit of a decoy. Let's see, he's now in the pits. Let's see how long he's there for. That to me looks like, I think we're beyond 10 seconds now, so I reckon that Kevsim's probably half tanked it here in his final race of the season. I mean, if Gidachrist has full tanked it, he's going to cruise to a win, I think, in this one. Yeah, Kevsim hasn't moved, so he's definitely half tanked it here. He's putting tyres on as well, so he'll lose out to Gidachrist in terms of the pit stop time if he's not changing tyres and putting fuel in. But there we go, Kevsim's off and away now and back out onto the track. And where's Andrew? Andrew's coming down the start finish straight. I tell you what, this is going to be close here, but Kevsim, I think, is just going to cover Andrew off into turn 1. Oh, it's going to be tight. Where is Andrew? Andrew's around the outside, and Kevsim is going to lose out here. So Andrew is into second place here in this race, but Kevsim on fresh tyres is going to have the pace over him. So I think Kevsim will be able to get ahead of Andrew. He should be able to negotiate him relatively easily here. But nonetheless, Andrew with track position over Kevsim, and that's only going to hurt him in his battle for the win, because obviously he's going to now have to negotiate Andrew, and that's going to lose him more time as Gidachrist coming into the pits here at the end of lap 20. So is Gidachrist changing tyres and putting fuel in? I think he might be, maybe, because he's coming in still quite close to the halfway mark here. So let's see, is he coming? He's coming up to his pit box now. Was it a bit of a decoy from both of these two to not come in bang on the halfway mark, but to come in a couple of laps either side of it? Nonetheless, Gidachrist is in the box now. How long is he going to be? You can see there it's been, well, now it's been about 10 seconds in the box, so I think he's doing the same thing. I think he's half tanking it and putting tyres on. So he's on the same strategy here, so this could be a three-way battle for the lead here between Andrew, Kevsim and Gidachrist. Gidachrist is still in the box at the moment. Andrew's just keeping Kevsim behind him, and Kevsim's not gaining massively on him either at this point. So Gidachrist has now done his pit stop and is off and away. Here come Andrew and Kevsim out of the final corner, and Gidachrist is out of the pits now, so he's come out, and he's come out well clear of these two by about 5 seconds, I reckon. There is Gidachrist as he now comes into turn 1. There you see him coming through. There's Andrew. So actually the gap only about 2 or 3 seconds between Gidachrist and Andrew, and Kevsim has actually lost time to Andrew on this lap. Is that maybe because he's got cold tyres? Is he just having to get them up to temperature first? Potentially that's the reason why he's lost time to Andrew over the course of that lap, but nonetheless Kevsim will be a bit worried about that. So spur time and Jill Silverman still yet to pit. When they do, it will be Gidachrist, Andrew and Kevsim batting over P1, 2 and 3. Capriglia is now coming out of the pits. Where has he come out? He's come out just behind Ericode, so he's coming out in 10th place. There is Capriglia, and I believe still in a promotion place at this point, but it's going to be close, I'll tell you that. But at the moment I think he's done enough. Moving to the battle here between Sparky Franchise and Extron. You can see here only 0.6 of a second between them, and it's looking like it's a bit closer than that now as well. Extron, we wanted to clear Sparky Franchise because Sparky Franchise still hasn't pitted yet in this race, so it's not really for position. Sparky Franchise had a real struggle here tonight. It's going to be wide there. Extron's surely going to be able to get a run here down this kind of, I guess it's a straight, it's flat out, you don't have to brake through this corner. You do actually have to take quite an intricate line though. If you're not on the right line, it becomes a corner rather than a straight. But Sparky Franchise goes a bit wide, and that's going to allow him up the inside, extra on there, gets that one done, up into P12, routine stuff there, no dramas. As I'm watching the battle here between Ericode and Capriga, Capriga just made a bit of a mistake there. It went very wide onto the grass, made a bit of a mistake there. And Ericode still keeping onto that one just about, but yeah, Capriga didn't really help his cause there at all. And that's giving Ericode a little bit more breathing space there, running in ninth place at this time. Guido Cristo, I'll tell you what, he's gapping Andrew by quite a bit. And Andrew is flying on these tyres, which I don't know whether he changed them when he came in for his early pit stop, but Andrew's really flying at this point. He's keeping Kevsim over a second, and Kevsim will have fresher tyres at this point. I wonder if this could maybe bite Andrew at the end, because obviously he put these tyres on at least at the start, but maybe about 5 minutes into the race, or maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the race. So when you think about it, Andrew his tyres probably right at the end, they're going to start to fall off. They're going to go off the cliff very quickly. But he's continuing to keep Kevsim very much at arm's reach at him, over a second. Guido Chris and Andrew still separate by over 2 seconds, so Guido Chris is doing what he has to do at the moment. Matev, it's the wrong server, mate. you meant to jump in the tier 1 server, not this one. Some other guys just had to quickly jump off, but right now we'll just see there Capriga getting up into 9th place. So he's made the move there on error code. I'm not sure where he did it, but just come back and seen that one's happened. Kev Sims on the back of Andrew. He's still trying to pressure him. These guys are 2 seconds off of the net race leader, Guido Christ, who's trying to make the move on Jill Silverin as well. Jill Silverin still yet to pit, but Guido Christ will be leading. Andrew will be second. Kev Sim will be third, but currently Kev Sim's piling the pressure here on Andrew. And I think Andrew's on older tyres than both Kev Sim and Guido Christ as well. So Andrew's doing a good job here of holding his ground and keeping himself in there, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so for much longer as he goes a little bit wide there. Kev Sim looking up the inside as they come down this long sort of dip before coming back up. And Andrew defending the inside there from Kev Sim. Kev Sim can't make it around him as Andrew goes very, very wide onto the curb a little bit. But Kev Sim still can't find a way through at the moment. As you were between these guys. Guido Christ, has he managed to get a Jill Silverin? Jill Silverin's pitting here at the end of lap 20. What's lap 26 for him? So he's coming in now, as we see. No, lap 25. Sorry for him. And we see Guido Christ there, your net race leader, running in P2. There is Andrew and Kev Sim still as they were, battling over third and fourth, but that will be second and third by the time spur time makes his mandatory pit stop, which he can do at any time between now and the end of the race. Coming in for an impromptu pit stop here at the end of lap 25 for him. I'm not sure why at this point. Maybe a bit of damage there on his car potentially. Hopefully he's not retiring. But Kev Sim's still on the back of Andrew here as these guys are coming through into the final couple of corners of this lap. And these guys are keeping the gap at Guido Christ, or to Guido Christ, 2 seconds, which is pretty good job from both of them considering that they are in a battle with each other, but they're not losing too much time to Guido Christ at this point. So Kev Sim here up into third place. He's made the move on Andrew there, and I felt that was inevitable obviously with Andrew's worn out tyres compared to Kev Sim. So Kev Sim's now within 4 seconds of Guido Christ, but Guido Christ with a healthy lead and should be able to see this out I think in the last few laps. Guido Christ is ahead of Kev Sim in the championship standings, currently occupies that second spot and looking good to take home the runners up trophy here in tier 2 for this season. Kev Sim's got a mountain to climb if he is to reel that in and pip him to that second spot in the standings. Tumbaz is currently trying to pressure the back of Jill Silver in the battle for 6th place. You've got Kangi there, who's just about within a second of Tumbaz here. So this is now a three-way battle here for 6th, 7th and 8th places. So here they come out of the last corner. Kangi a little bit closer to Tumbaz than he was previously. He's weaving around a bit there as Kangi. Not sure why really, to be perfectly honest. Bit of a strange situation there for him. But yeah, carrying on as normal, I guess. Spare time still out in front at this point. Lap 28 of the race. When is he going to come in and make the pit stop? You can see that there's the Bentley just in front of him. Lexi mate. Spare time have flashed the lights there to Lexi mate. But where is Spare time hoping to get to here in this race? Because it's going to be a stop and go for him, I'm pretty sure about that. I can't see him being stuck in the pits for too long, because he's not going to be full tanking it at this point. He's going to be certainly, well, he is going to be full tanking it, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to be half tanking it or changing tyres. He's literally going to be just in and out of the box in no time at all. So he's 18 seconds ahead of Andrew. How far is he ahead of Totally Zero K? Because he's probably going to be the one who he's battling, potentially. Or is it going to be Jill Silver and he'll be hoping to get out ahead of? See what the gap is to Totally Zero K. So Totally Zero K is 21 seconds behind Andrew. And Andrew's 17 seconds behind Guido Christ. So yeah, as it stands, he's about 37 seconds ahead of Totally Zero K spare time. So that could be quite close actually. I'd say spare time's definitely guaranteed to come out ahead of Jill Silver in 5th, but he might have a chance of getting 4th here ahead of Totally Zero K. But then again, Totally Zero K is probably going to have a quicker car at this point because he's got fresher tyres on. So I reckon that spare time could be in for a P5 here in this one if he plays his cards right. I reckon that's certainly achievable here in this final race of the season for him. Oh, with Jill Silver in wide there onto the gravel. That's going to give Kangi P7 there. Didn't need a second invitation there. Kangi moves up. Jill Silver in. Is he going to get it together? Kangi goes a bit wide there on the exit of the final corner. But job done there for him up into P7. Jill Silver in still close on the back of him. That's given Tumbaz a bit of breathing space here. Riding in 6th place, but I'm sure he's going to have Kangi pulling up onto the back of him pretty soon. But I think Kangi is going to miss out on a promotion spot. Not by much, but he is going to just, I think, miss out on a coveted top 6 position here for this Tier 2 championship. Spur time your race leader. Is he going to pit this lap? He's still continuing around. Obviously he's been leading the race ever since the other leaders came in, Guido, Chris, Kevsiv and Andrew. Staying out still for the time being. But he's only going to have, I think, 4 or 5 more opportunities to come in and make his pit stop. So when are we going to be seeing him pulling that trigger? If my calculations are right, he's going to have 4 more opportunities to come in and make his stop. There's gap to Guido Chris It's currently 9 seconds as it stands. As Jill Silverman is on the back of Kangi here. There's these guys. In fact, no, Jill Silverman, what's happened? He's lost it. He's made a mistake here. He's now 2.6 adrift of Kangi. He's only 2 seconds clear of Caprigia as well, so Caprigia is going to be hunting down Jill Silverman in the closing stages of this race. And you've got to give it to Caprigia. What a drive he's had since his early woes. Started from the pits, but hasn't let that hold him back, and he's not very far from an 8th place at all here in his final race of the season. Was calling into question his chance of taking a promotion place for Tier 1 next season, but he's well and truly brought himself back from a potential doom here, and he stands on the verge of taking 8th place here from Jill Silverman in the closing stages of this race. Spur time still going out the front, showing no signs of coming into the pits just yet. Still right on the back of Jill Silverman as these guys coming down, about to start in the final sector of this of lap 32. Spur time still out the front, leading the race by 7.5 seconds, but obviously still needs to come in and make his mandatory pit stop at some point. He's only going to have, I think, a couple more chances to do it as well. Caprigia is now catching the back of Jill Silverman. Here we go for 8th place. The gap was 3 tenths, now 6 tenths, so Jill Silverman extended it a little bit there coming to the first sector, but Caprigia creeping that a little bit closer again. Through the middle part of the lap we go. But what a drive it'd be for Caprigia to get himself into 8th after the start to the race that he had. He's brought himself back up through the pack absolutely brilliantly here. See how much Caprigia's car's wobbling as well with the damage that he's got. He's bouncing, he's porpoising as they were coming through the dirt. Getting closer and closer to Jill Silverman though, nonetheless, despite that damage. Could be about to take this position here, like just getting onto the grass a little bit. Can he get a good run out of the final corner and maybe have a chance down the start-finish straight into turn 1? Jill Silverman keeping it pinned. Caprigia a bit wide, but he's got a great run here down the start-finish straight. He's going to get that toe. Surely he's going to pull out and make the move into turn 1. Here we go. Doesn't look like it because of the damage on his car. Maybe it's just affecting his straight line speed a little bit, but he's going to go for a dive anyway. Here he goes, Caprigia making the move into turn 1. Jill Silverman trying to close the door, but he can't because Caprigia is there on the inside. Caprigia, I think he's done that move there brilliantly. Into turn 2 we go, and Caprigia is up into 8th place. Another position gained. What a drive from him. What a comeback over the course of this final race of the season. Caprigia moves himself through up into 8th place, and Jill Silverman there down to 9th. The spur time's coming in here, end lap 33. It was either going to be 33 or 34 for him when he was going to come in, because this was the second last opportunity he would have had. So Guido Christ now will take the lead, which we knew he was going to take anyway. And Kev's in here into 2nd place, Andrew into 3rd. Where is Spur Time going to come out though? Oh, Tony's okay wide onto the grass a little bit. Spur Time's already off and away because he didn't really need to make any changes in the pits. He just needed to stop and go, literally. Just no fuel, no tyres, nothing. Spur Time has come out, and he's come out ahead of Tony 0K, so he's done it. 4th place for Spur Time in this final race of the season, and what a result that is for him in the Aston Martin. He's had not the most easiest of seasons, but I tell you what, he'll be chuffed to bits with that result. But the last time of asking here for this season, we've got Tony 0K not too far behind him, but I don't think he's going to catch him before we get to the checkered flag here. Tumbaz and Kangi still battling over 6th and 7th. You can see Kangi still right on the back of him here. Let's watch this battle for 6th and 7th, because Kangi's really trying to pile this pressure on Tumbaz here. Glenn in the comments there says, good race by Spur Time, nice work. Yeah, definitely Glenn. Very patient drive from him. Wasn't tempted to bring it in and see where he stood in the grand scheme of things. Just did his thing out the front, had clear air, had the drivers who he was lapping. Obviously had to adhere to the blue flags, or had to be careful with the leader behind him, even if you don't have to let them through. But yeah, he just went about his business, got his head down, and has managed to come out in 4th place, only 3 seconds clear of Tony 0K, so maybe staying out longer has actually benefited him here. Obviously being in clean air and not having that sort of that pressure on you to try and catch anyone. You're just out there doing your own thing and driving your own race essentially. But Tom Mazin, Kangi here battling over 6th and 7th. You can see just under half a second between these two as they're coming into the final sector. Kangi get a bit of a run here out the last corner and make a move on Tumbaz into turn 1. As here we go, down the start finish straight we go. Tumbaz is defending the inside line. Doesn't really need to though, because Kangi's nowhere near him as they come into turn 1. Tumbaz has got that one held on to very, very comfortably indeed. As we go to our race leader here, Guido Christ. Came into this one 2nd in the championship, but he knew that if he lost out to Kevsim, if Kevsim were to have won this race, he would have nabbed Guido Christ to 2nd in the championship by 1 point. But as it is, Guido Christ will come away from this final race with a 19-point gap over Kevsim, and will take 2nd in the championship. We're without our champion Robe, who couldn't make this final race of the night. He wrapped it up last week with a round to spare. But Guido Christ is going to come into the final corner to take the final win of the season here at Tier 2 for the GT3 Zero Motive. What a win. A very impressive drive here in the McLaren. Guido Christ takes the checkered flag and wraps up 2nd in the championship standings as well. Kevsim takes 2nd place. Both of these two will be in Tier 1 next season, as will Andrew, who completes the podium in 3rd place. So these boys are going to be mixing it up with the best of the best on the PlayStation 5 here in the GT3s. Great results from those guys. Top 3 separated by 8 seconds in the end. Spur Time coming out of the final corner with a very impressive drive indeed here from him. A flash to lights as well as he takes 4th place here in this race. Totally 0K comes over to take P5 in the end, as Tumbaz is coming through the final couple of quarters, and it's going to be a P6 for him ahead of Kangi, who will take 7th, I think, unless Tumbaz makes a mistake. No, he doesn't. So Tumbaz here, 6th place in the final race of the season. Kangi takes 7th, with Caprigia, who will finish this one in 8th place. Leximate's finished a lap down, Day 666 also. Snoopy's finished the race 2 laps down. Jill Silver finished in 9th, Erico 10th. Diego has finished a lap down in 14th. What about Exeron? Exeron's coming into the final part of the lap now. Henry will finish in 15th. He is 2 laps down. And a disappointing night for him after a strong qualifying. Led the opening couple of laps and then made a mistake and ended up way down the pack with a lot of work to do. Henry comes over to take 15th in the end. Sparky Franchise didn't take the checkered flag, but still classified in 16th ahead of Snoopy. Exxon will be the last driver over the line, and there he is, 11th place for him. Sparky Franchise is in the pits, so will not finish the race. but still classified. So that is that then, ladies and gentlemen, for the Tier 2s for the whole season here at Motive. I want to thank all of the Tier 2 drivers for racing with us this season. What a show you guys have put on for the second tier, and I hope that you all join us for next season. The sign-ups will be going up tomorrow, so definitely keep an eye out for that. I'll be putting out an announcement in the announcement section of the Discord server tomorrow. Top 6 in the championship will get promotion. I'm about to do standings now, so I'll get that done right now, and then we'll be able to obviously read that out in a couple of minutes. I'll do that on the stream, so I'll mute my mic for a couple of minutes and then get that up. But that is your final classification here for the final time this season here for the Tier 2s. And don't go anywhere, guys, because I'm going to read out the championship standings, or read out the top 6 for the Tier 2s, and then we'll have the Tier 1s on after that. So yeah, don't go anywhere. There you have it, guys, for the Tier 2s here for Motive for the GT3 Championship for Season 3. Just going to confirm here on the stream the top 6 in the Championship so that you guys know who got promotion. So the promotion drivers up into Tier 1 are the following. So Robe, obviously the champion, already wrapped up the Championship last week. He is the first of the promotion drivers. Second, Guido Christ. Third, Kevsim. Henry wrapped up 4th in the Championship, 1 point ahead of Andrew, who took 5th, and Caprigia takes the final promotion spot in 6th in the Championship standings. Tumbaz losing out by 13 points on a promotion, and Kangi losing out by 27 points in the end. Exeron finished 9th in the standings, ahead of Diego, who completed the top 10. But yeah, guys, we're going to quickly jump over to the Tier 1 server, and we're going to get into that qualifying session in a moment. So yeah, stick around, we won't be a sec. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the Tier 1s for the final time this season here at Motive. Just a quick recap to anybody watching who's interested to know who got the promotion places for Tier 2 and will be in this Tier 1 division next season. They are Robe, Guido Christ, Kev Sim, Henry, Andrew and Caprigia. So those 6 guys will be racing in this Tier 1 division next season, which is very exciting, obviously, for us and for them. So yeah, we've got a bit of a depleted grid this time out. It's only 16 of us here for the finale of the season. I guess it's the finale, it's the last race of the season. Usually you tend to get numbers dwindling a little bit by this point, so shouldn't really be too surprised. There's not really much at stake for a lot of the drivers out there, so I guess, you know, it's the one that people often tend to miss. But nonetheless, 16 drivers, yeah, that's plenty enough to see some exciting racing. If we were on Project Cars 2 right now, that would be the absolute maximum that we could get on the grid. So, you know, we've become accustomed to having 25, 30 drivers on the, well, never 30, but, you know, between 20 and 25 drivers every week. I think that we can settle with 16. I think it's too bad. So yeah, plenty of excitement still to be had here tonight. 15 of you currently watching the stream. Plenty of comments coming in as well tonight, in response to the Tier 2s, and obviously, you know, just everything in general. We've got JR in the comments saying, well done Tier 2, let's go Jazz. Obviously supporting his friend Jazzman, who will be starting from the back this week. Jazzman did actually wrap up the championship last time out for in the penultimate round of the season at Brands Hatch. So it's the second championship that he's won at Brands Hatch. He won the first season of the PlayStation 5 GT3 championship at Brands Hatch, although that time it was the final race of the season, this time the penultimate round. But yeah, both of his championship wins in the PS5 GT3 League have come at Brands Hatch, ironically, for Jazzman. But yeah, he will start at the back alongside Tynus. So both of those two doing a last to first challenge. But is it going to be the last to first success? That's what we're going to find out. Arlampa currently sat on provisional pole position by just under 2 tenths to Max Power, with Luca in third and Ludo fourth. I tell you what, these four are going to be absolutely gunning to try and get away at the start. Whoever's leading in the first few laps, I think, is going to have a great chance of trying to just try and beat the race that is Jazzman and Tynus. These two are going to be absolutely cutting their way through the pack, but can the leaders get away before they arrive on the scene? It's going to be fascinating to see how that one pans out. But we've currently got Max Power sat in second in this qualifying leaderboard. He's just coming to the final corner. Let's see if he can get a little bit closer to Arlampa. Can he dethrone him at the top of that leaderboard as he comes over the line now and stays in P2 for the time being? But we've got Robert Rolonsky there saying in the comments, good race. Spur Time saying cheers. Great race, Spur Time, says Zillabang. Thanks guys, says Spur Time. DJ Ken says that's been fun to watch Tier 2. Well done all races, onwards. He says good luck, says Spur Time to Glenn GT. Obviously Glenn will be racing, he's racing in the Tier 1s here right now. Aston Martin weekend, he says. We got Niels Melia in the comments saying Morgan Tart in the comments. Morgan, it's not Morgan, it's oh man, I did German, I've forgotten what evening is in German. How bad is that? That's really embarrassing. How can I even call myself a German GCSE? I think I got a D, to be fair. I don't think did I get a C or a D? I can't remember. I don't even know. It's all gone. I've forgotten everything. But yeah. We've got Spur Time also saying well done on the podium, guys. Let's go Glenn, you got this, says Chris. Chris is currently backing his man who's currently sat in 14th at the moment in this qualifying leaderboard. You got DJ Ken saying no Raki or Scuderia Paul tonight. No, Scuderia Paul did hand in his apologies for tonight, and Raki's only racing as a reserve this season. I don't know if he's planning on coming back as a full-time next season, but Raki's not been racing full-time for this season. Also we've got Chris saying, Kenny, you should do this. Yep, supporting Glenn, says DJ Ken. Last race of the season and nothing to lose. Happy days, mate. Definitely so. I might go back into the league, but it would be the second lead they got, says Chris. Yeah, well, definitely you'd be welcome to join us the Tier 2, mate. Obviously, we've got spaces. There should be a few spaces because we've had a couple of dropouts over the course of this season. I think we've still got about 40 regular drivers signed up, about 45 regulars. But yeah, we do need a few more to fill up the 2 tiers. I was thinking at one point we might need a 3rd tier, which we might still potentially need. If we get more than 50, then I'll start opening a third tier for extra sign-ups to come in. I'm planning on a 3-week break between now and the start of next season, so that will give us time to try and fill up a few spaces in the second tier, and then obviously a third after that if there's space. But yeah, I reckon you'd be in the second tier if you're one of the first sign-ups. No Raki or Scooter Paul. Obviously that's DJ Ken. I've already read that one out. I'll have a word. He says good luck, Glenny boy, says Silabang. Glenn says thanks, I'll only try my best. Well, that's all you can do. You can give it your best shot, but ultimately that's the best you can do. You can't do more than that. Your best is your best. But that is that for the qualifying session here, ladies and gentlemen. Arlampa on pole by 2/10 ahead of Max Power. Luca and Ludo in third and fourth. 4/10 currently 4/10 separating the top four on the grid. But we're going to have Jazzman and Tynus making their way through from the back, so that's going to be a very exciting race. And yeah, looking forward to seeing if they can get themselves on the podium, or maybe even one of them can get a win tonight. What a job that would be if one of them can do that. Here we are then, guys. We're moments away from the start of the final race of the season here for the Tier 1 GT3 Championship here at Motive Racing for Season 3. Here we've got Arlampa on pole position with Max Power lining up alongside him on the front row. It's going to be exciting to see whether Jazzman and Tynus can bring themselves up the order into a very prominent position here at the end of this race. Only 16 drivers here tonight for the final race. Obviously we're at the end of the season and not much to play for a lot of drivers, so a lot of the guys giving this one a miss, but nonetheless 16 drivers, not too bad of a turnout as we're coming up towards the line, and we should be about to go racing here at Kyalami. And here we go, we are green coming down towards turn 1 for the first time. You can see Arlampa's not got a great start. Max Power is already slightly ahead as they're coming up towards turn 1, but Arlampa will have the inside line. Is he going to be able to outbrake Max Power as they come through turn 1 now? Max Power keeping it there and around the outside. Arlampa gives him a bit of a tap there as they rub doors ever so slightly, but Max Power's got the move done there up into the lead of the race. As you can see in the background there's a side by side between, I think, Luca and Ludo, and looks as though Luca's managed to just hold on there ahead of Ludo for third place, as Tom Quarantine's got Matev looking up his inside, as PS Vids, well, has PS Vids come out in all of this? Has he dropped positions here? I'm not sure, but yeah, he has. No, he hasn't. He's still ahead of Tom Quarantine, but so actually PS Vids is maintained position. Oh, Tom gets a tap there from Spaz and loses a couple of positions there. Oh, and Spaz has got into the side there over one of the other drivers there. That was Tom Quarantine who got caught up in that. Then there's a big crash there between all of those guys, and there's absolute mayhem here at the start of this race. Max Power leading the race ahead of Arlampa, followed by Luca. You've got Ludo and PS Vids in the top 5, and then a massive gap back to everybody else who managed to get through from that. Matev kind of managed to get through, but he's lost a position there to Mary Louise, who now leads the charging pack in P6. Spuz lost a couple of places down to P8 by the looks of it. I think you've got Jazzman is now already up into 9th place, so he started down in 15th and he's already up into, no, where is he? No, he's not. He's in 4th. Wait, hold on, what? Okay, no, that wasn't. Sorry, it's Tynus. Tynus is number 14. So, I'm so confused right now. I'm so confused. It's, you know what it is? It's because Tynus is usually, Jazzman is usually number 14, but obviously because he's the champion, he's now adopted the number 1 for this final race of the night. So I was looking at number 14 thinking that was Jazzman. It's not, it's Tynus. So Tynus has had an absolute cracker of an opening lap here and is up into 9th place. Jazzman still down in P14, has not had the rubber to green here in the early stage of this race at all. He's now up into 12th. He's got ahead of Brando as we see Tom into the pits. No surprise with that damage on his car at the end of lap 1, but Max Power's got the lead ahead of Arlampa right now, having got around him through turn 1. So Max Power leads, Arlampa second. There's Luca in 3rd place. He's got Ludo not too far behind him. PS Vids on the back of these guys as well. The top 5 are currently breaking away from everybody else. You've got Mary Louise leading the chasing pack. He's got Tynus now breathing down his neck. Tynus has got ahead of Matev and Spuz, and he's up into 7th place. So Tynus in the house flying through this pack and not too far for the leaders now. He's within 10 seconds of the lead here as we're a lap and a half into this race, as you've got Spuz here who's trying to keep a low 3000 at bay. Low 3000 has also got Matev on the back of him as Epiphany and Jazzman right there. Jazzman on the back of this train of cars as Brando in the background there going a bit wide. He's got Glenn on the back of him with the Yellow Army. They're running in 15th place right now. But a dramatic first couple of laps to this race. It's Max Power ahead of Arlampa. There's Luca ahead of Ludo and PS Vids. And the top 5 here, definitely in a league of their own at the moment. But Tynus in the house, really trying to put the pressure here on Mary Louise. Can he make a move here on him and get himself into P6 as soon as he possibly can? As Tony 0K saying, another mayhem. Yeah, we've seen plenty of that here tonight. But Tynus in the house can't make the move here on Mary Louise. Jazzman's now up into 8th place, so he's cleared the traffic behind him. What has happened here? Because I'm sure he was nowhere near being 8th before. Has there been a pile-up or something? Epiphany's got a bit of damage on the front of his car. Low 3000 has also got damage. Epiphany, Spuz has got damage. So yeah, Jazzman has made his way through up into 8th place because of all of that. Spuz into the pits here at the end of lap 2. So there's been more carnage here in this race, and it's been non-stop carnage in the first couple of laps of this race. We've got Glenn up a place there, says DJ Ken in the comments. Yep, up into P12, doing a very strong race. There's low 3000. Look up the inside here of Glenn though, into turn 1. Is this going to be job done there for low 3000? I think it is. Glenn trying to keep it around the outside, but he can't do it, I don't think. No, he's going to keep himself there. I tell you what, Glenn getting racy here. Low 3000 and Glenn side by side. Glenn really getting his elbows out here. Low 3000 has the inside for the next corner and has that move done finally, but Glenn really did put up a good fight there. But low 3000 up into P12 in this race. Glenn's now got Yellow Army putting the pressure here as he's trying to get himself into 13th place if he can. But Glenn GT driving a solid race there in the middle of those two at this point. As Luca is within a second of Arlampa at the moment, within 2 seconds of the race lead. Ludo there running in 4th ahead of PS Vids. But yeah, interesting first couple of laps to this race. Epiphany's on the back of Brando as he's trying to get himself into the top 10 if he can, knocking on the door of a top 10 spot. But Glenn here still battling with Yellow Army right now. Yellow Army is really piling that pressure on as Glenn goes a little bit wide and Yellow Army up the inside. Glenn goes off onto the curb and then a bit, keeping it on the track just about. But Yellow Army squeezes through up into 13th place. Can Glenn come back at him as they come down this long dip? As he seems to have a bit of an unsettled car. That setup seems to be playing tricks on him here. Yellow Army's got that one down into 13th place by the looks of it there comfortably. Max Power still your race leader ahead of our Lamper by a second. Luca there running in third has got a further second back to Ludo. PS Vid's there running in fifth place right now, so PS Vid's about 5 seconds off for the lead, but the top sort of four guys spacing each other out a little bit. It's just over a second between each of these drivers at this point. You've got Matev into the pits here at the end of lap 3, so he's making his pit stop relatively early on. Lots of drivers making early pit stops here, probably with damage on their cars, knowing that's the only real way to play this strategy here. But Max Power still has P1, still has the ascendancy here in this race in the relatively early stages here at Kyalami for the Tier 1s. As Epiphany is lining up a move here on Brando as they're coming through towards the end of the first sector. Epiphany still trying to put the pressure on Brando right now in this battle for 9th and 10th places. You see that it's running over the curve a little bit aggressively there, but Max Power out in front, currently doing what he needs to do. Arlampus gapped Luca a little bit on that last lap. Ludo's closed on Luca ever so slightly. Only 0.8 of a second between Luca and Ludo at this point. Jazzman's almost in a second of Mary Louise now, so he'll be looking to pick off another driver here. That'll be P7 if Jazzman can do that, and it'll only actually be, well, he'll actually be the place behind Tynus if he can get ahead of Mary Louise quickly here. So Tynus in the house, still trying to chase down the top 5. He's only 5 seconds off of PS Vids, and he's within 10 seconds of the lead, but he's kind of matching Max Power at the moment, not really gaining massive amounts on him at this stage. But Jazzman here trying to put this pressure on Mary Louise for 7th place. We'll be hoping to not waste too much time here behind him. Epiphany still on the back of Brando, should I say, but Brando's just keeping him at arm's reach at the moment. Spur Time says in the comments, Andy, is it just promotion from Tier 2 or is there relegation from Tier 1? That depends on how many drivers are classified in the championship. So what I was kind of hoping is that if we've got, say, 24 drivers, or it's quite complicated, I'm going to have to work it out, but basically possibly, but not definitely is the answer to that one. Basically the only guarantee is that the top 6 from Tier 2 go up, but it depends on how many people are classified if anyone goes down. So we're gonna like play that one by ear. I'll have to work that out when I actually publish the driver lineups, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. difficult to know, but yeah. Currently Ludo's still on the back of Luca. You can see that Jazzman is in a 10th of Mary Louise, and in fact that's not up to date because Jazzman's done Mary Louise. You can see clearly he's ahead of him there into 7th place, so Jazzman now in some clean air, but he lost about 3 seconds to Tynus whilst he was behind Mary Louise. So Tynus there now 6 seconds clear of Jazzman. Saying that, Tynus hasn't got a fully healthy car. He's got very light damage on the front of that Bentley there, so that could be costing him a little bit of time here. He's 6 seconds clear of Jazzman. Is that going to cost him at all in the grand scheme of things here in this race? He's within 4.5 seconds and still closing by about half a second a lap on PS Vids, but he's not really gaining hugely on the leaders at this point. PS Vids is 3 seconds off of Ludo, but Tynus is well over 10 seconds off of the lead. He's about 12-13 seconds behind Max Power. Arlamp is still keeping Max Power on his toes. These two are gapping Luca and Ludo by quite a bit over the last few laps anyway. But coming over the line here to complete lap 6 of the race, and the gap between Max Power and Arlampa is still just over 1 second. Tynus and Jazzman currently reeling these guys in at this point. But still a long way to go. But they've got a lot of work to do still in this race, that's for sure. And Tynus, I'm starting to wonder if he has maybe got a bit of damage. All that damage that on the front that you can see there is affecting him to a certain extent, because he's a long way behind and he's not really gaining on the leaders at all. Jazzman saying that isn't gaining massively on him. It's still 6 seconds between those two, so maybe it isn't affecting him too much. Maybe I'm just reading the timing screen wrong, I don't know. Nonetheless, Epiphany's still on the back of Brando in his battle for 9th. You can see LOL 3000 is really close on these guys now as well, so this is a three-way battle here for 9th, 10th and 11th places. Chris saying in the comments, Kenny, honest opinion, what tier do you think I should go for if I try to get back to this? Oh Chris, it'll be tier 2 mate, you can't jump in straight into tier 1, you have to race in tier 2 to start off with. If you mean is it a case of being in tier 2 or 3, that's another question. But Brando into the wall there, has a bit of collision with LOL 3000, both of those two compromised. I was looking down at my phone looking at the comments when that happened, so I didn't actually see what happened there. But those two losing time there to Epiphany, who is now well in the clear from these two. And yeah, LOL 3000 and Brando there have got Yellow Army not too far behind them now as well. But Epiphany released into clean air, now well clear of those two. You can see he's got over a couple of seconds back to them there as they're just coming through the shop. So the gap between Max Power and Arlampa has just gone up a little bit. It's nearly 2 seconds now between these two. So Max Power is starting to just up the tempo a little bit out the front. He's been leading since turn 1, where he got around the outside of Arlampa. Arlampa was on pole position, let's not forget, but Max Power so far in the race has definitely had the upper hand. LOL 3000 is reeling in Epiphany here. After having that collision with Brando on the previous lap, he's not let that get him down. He's still chasing down Epiphany for 9th, and he's gapping Brando in 11th. So Yellow Army could be looking on Brando in a bit, could be coming up on the scene very shortly. And these guys 9 seconds clear of Glenn, running in 13th. We've obviously got Matev, Tom and Spuzz, who have all been into the pits already here in this race. Chris saying, was thinking tier 2 or 3 if it gets created. That could be based on number of side-ups really, to be honest. Tier 3 might not even get set up, but to be honest it's difficult, because I'll tell you, tier 2 will be mainly comprised of drivers who raced in tier 2 this season, who re-signed for next season, and then the rest will be new sign-ups. And to be honest, I reckon it will probably be 2 tiers again. That's what I can see happening. I mean, we'd need at least 75 sign-ups altogether if we were to run a 3rd tier. It's possible, but at the moment, I just want to get tier 2 filled up first, and then we can start worrying about a tier 3. What I'll probably do is I'll assign people to tier 2 first, and then all of the new sign-ups, if we get enough, we'll go into tier 3. But we'll work it out in some way or another. What I did last season was I was putting returning drivers into tier, because we did actually think about doing a tier 3 at first, and I remember I was putting returning drivers into tier 2, drivers that hadn't raced for a couple of seasons but that I knew of. So I was putting drivers who had raced in the previous season in tier 1, and I was putting returning drivers in tier 2 and then new drivers in tier 3. But then obviously it got to the point where I thought I might as well put all of the tier 2 and 3 drivers into one tier, because we had about 30 between them. And obviously over the course of a season you tend to lose a few, so You know, it all kind of makes sense and adds up in the end. Epiphany into the pits nonetheless here at the end of lap 8, so he's coming in, making a relatively early pit stop here. Gap at the front between Max Power and Arlampa is still just over a second. PS Vids is within a second of Tynus. As you can see, these guys running quite close for 5th and 6th. As I'm noticing here on the timing screen, Tynus in the house has got ahead of PS Vids. You can see there, he's got over a second of a gap to him there. So Tynus in the house into 5th place. Now can he try and chase down the leaders? He's currently about 13 seconds off of the lead, so he's actually matching Max Power now, but he's so far behind. I mean, I wouldn't have thought he'd be half tanking it. Surely he's going to be full tanking it, as is Jazzman, you would think. Jazzman is actually gaining quite a bit of time here on Tynus. You can see that it's under 5 seconds now between those two. It was over 6 seconds a few laps ago. So Jazzman, I think he's gaining about 2 or 3 tenths a lap here on Tynus. Has definitely got the pace over him at this point. Long way to go as well, so he can definitely catch him before the end of the race. Tynus in house is 5 seconds now behind Ludo. And yeah, he's about 12 or 13 seconds off for the race leader Max Power, but has he got the pace to start catching him? And are these two on a full tank strategy? If they are, then they will gain time on these guys if they're half tanking it or changing tyres or whatever. Arlampa's got the gap down to under a second here to Max Power, so he's gaining currently on our race leader as these guys coming into turn 1 here for the 11th time in this race. They're 6 seconds clear of Luca, who's managed to gap Ludo by just over a second, or nearly 2 seconds now actually between those two. Here we are then, the top two in this tier 1 race here for the GT3 Championship Motive. It's currently still Max Power and Arlampa running very close, coming out of the final corner, about to start lap 12 of the race. And it's nip and tuck here. Arlampa's gained a bit on Max Power coming to the final part of the lap. Still just a little bit too far back to make a move, but he's really gained over the course of the last couple of laps, and Arlampa now will be starting to ramp up the pressure and force Max Power into a mistake. We don't know what strategy these guys are on. We don't know if they're running half tanks or full tanks or what they're doing, but Max Power is certainly coming under the cosh here from the Ferrari of Arlampa, and both of these two sensing a big opportunity to take a win, with Tynus and Jazzman doing a last to first challenge here tonight. Thus far out of the picture, but gaining on the leaders at this point, I think. Last time we checked, Tynus was about 13 seconds off of the lead. And by my calculations, he's still about 13 seconds off of the lead. But I tell you what, Jazzman is definitely closing on the leaders at this point, but he's further away than Tynus is. He's about 17 seconds off of the lead at the moment. But then again, as I said before, Tynus and Jazzman could be running their full tank strategies, so that could definitely bring them into play. by the time we get to the end of this race. Just half a second now separating Max Power and Arlampelo as they continue to battle it out over the lead here. Noticing Ludo's gained a little bit on Luca over the recent laps as well. Here we go then, Arlampa now within striking distance of Max Power. You can taste it, you can smell it, you can see how close he is to the back of him. But Max Power's still holding him at arm's reach at this point. But he's creeping ever closer and he's just looking to try and force him into a mistake if he can. You can see both of them wobbling around a bit in the braking zones. But obviously Arlampa on pole position in the qualifying session, he was the man to beat, but Max Power managed to get the jump off of the line, got a much better start, led the opening couple of laps after getting around the outside of him into turn one. But over the last few laps Arlampa's certainly been coming back at him, chipping away at that gap, and now finds himself within striking distance of the lead as they come down the dip once again here on lap 13 of the race. Still just half a second separating them at this point, and Max Power's got just enough of a gap right now to be out of send it range. As Arlampa really wide there and would have got a warning for track limits. He needs to avoid doing that too often. These guys coming into the final corner. Arlampa's right underneath him here. If he can get a good run out of the final corner, he might have a chance of taking this lead here into turn one. I'll tell you what, that is 2 or 3 tenths, no more between those two over the line. Oh, it's half a second, okay. Sorry. Maybe I can't, maybe I'm not able to tell how big a gap is, but Max Power well ahead into turn one, ahead of Arlampa. What's Tynus up to? He's losing time to the leader, Max Power. 5, 14, 14, he's about 14 and a half seconds off of the lead is Tynus. So he's not really gaining at all on the race leader. He's 3.7 ahead of Jazzman. Jazzman's not really gaining either. It could come down to strategy here with these guys. Are they full tanking it? If they are, like I said before, then they could bring them. It could give them the lead or give them P1 and 2 going into the second stint. But then obviously Max Power will have fresher tyres if he's half tanking it. If Max Power's full tanking it, then I think that Tynus and Jazzman have got no chance of taking this win, either of them, because they are not gaining at all on either of these two, Max Power and Arlampa. But my theory is that Max Power and Arlampa have half tanked it. At Luca, Ludo, Tynus, PS Fids, Jazzman, I reckon all these guys have probably full tanked it. That's my theory. I think the top two have done different from the rest of them. We've got Tajay or Tadage in the comments there saying Gogo Lampa currently running in second place at the moment is Arlampa Tadage, but he was on pole position and he's currently really putting Max Power under pressure. He's definitely quicker at this phase in the race, but can't find a way through at the moment. That's the gap between them, still just under half a second, I think. Oh, it's just over half a second now. So they come into turn one once again. Jazzman within half a second of PS Fids. Is he going to look to try and make a move here down the start finish straight? And PS Fids weaving around, trying to break the toe, trying to defend this position here. Here we come, down towards turn one. PS Fids there. He's going to leave the door open here for Jazzman. Jazzman's going to send it down the inside. Is he going to be able to complete the move? PS Fids keeping it wide. Is he going to go for a cutback here? I don't think he's going to be able to get it done because Jazzman here's got the inside for turn two and makes it look very easy indeed. Jazzman there moves himself through up into 6th place and can now try and chase down his old rival Tynus, who is currently 3.5 seconds up the road, running in 5th place. He's continuing to reel in Ludo. And Ludo's only a second behind Luca, and my theory is that these guys are the ones who are full tanking it here. Luca, Ludo, Tynus, Jazzman, PS Fids. I reckon they're all full tanking it. I reckon the top two are doing something a bit different here. So could this all be for the net lead? Or are these two still in the box seat? That is the question. That's what we're going to find out over the next, well, probably a few minutes, because we'll be able to see whether or not they're going to be pitting at the halfway mark or if they're going long. In the meantime, Brando's gapped Yellow Army by just over a second here in this battle for 10th place. You can see there, those two just going through your shot. But it was well under a second, but Brando's managed to pull out a bit of a gap over the course of this lap and is starting to get the pace down ever so slightly. Bit of a slide there onto the curb as he's now coming into the pits here at the end of lap 15. So he's making a relatively early pit stop, well before the halfway mark, but not the most outlandish time to come into the pits. Max Power and Arlampa still running close, 2/10 apart, as they're just now coming around to put a lap here on, I think that's Spuzz. Yes, it is. I tell you what, Max Power might be a little bit on edge here because he's having to make his way through, and Arlampa's just crept a little bit closer there. Max Power was a bit onto the curb there, coming through that right-hander, but keeps it pinned, keeps it under control at the moment. But Arlampa is really piling this pressure on the back of Max Power. I think he's the closest he's been at any point in this race so far. Goes a bit deep into the final corner though, and that will compromise his exit, and that's given Max Power just a little bit more respite as they come over the line here to start lap 17. And Max Power's got a comfortable gap here as we come down the hill towards turn 1 again. Luca and Ludo still running reasonably close there in 3rd and 4th places. Tynus has closed in a little bit on these two. Well, he's closed in on Ludo for sure. Lucas gapped Ludo a little bit though, so Ludo losing time at this stage in the race. Jazzman gaining on Tynus by quite a bit. The gap's down to 2.7. I imagine Tynus is going to need to repair damage when he comes in. Is he going to consider it worth repairing? Because, well, he's losing probably about 3 or 4 tenths a lap to Jazzman. But will his damage repair that amount of time loss? I mean, if you think about it, it's probably going to be about a 33 lap race is what we saw. No, 35 lap race we saw in the tier 2. So what is it going to be? Probably 18, 19 laps to go. You know, he's probably going to lose about 8 seconds of race time, so if his repairs take longer than that, they're probably not worth doing. So he's obviously got to run those numbers and work out what's going to benefit him here in this race. But he's currently running in 5th place, still he's 2.5 seconds clear of Jazzman running in 6th, who's reeling him in quite quickly here. Max Power's just gapped Arlampa a little bit over the course of this lap, nearly a second separating these two, and Arlampa's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 17, so I imagine he's probably half tanking it. So I said it before, I think that Max Power and Arlampa are half tanking their cars. Luca coming around, continuing out there. Ludo coming around the final corner. There's Tynus, only 2.2 now ahead of Jazzman, but Tynus continuing to reel in Ludo as well. But Jazzman here looking like the fastest man on track, at least out of the long run runners here. But Arlampa here in the box for some considerable amount of time there, and he's definitely half tanking it. He's definitely changing tyres and putting fuel in that car. Now is Max Power going to come in at the end of this lap, or is he going to go long? Has he full tanked it? I don't think he has. I'm pretty sure he's half tanked it here. So he'll probably be in a battle with Arlampa. And those two I imagine will have the pace at the end with fresh tyres. But they'll obviously lose ground with a longer pit stop, which will benefit the guys who I think are full tanking it. I don't know if Luca and Ludo are. I'm pretty sure Tynus and Jazzman are though. But the gap continuing to come down between Tynus and Jazzman. Still just over 2 seconds I've got it at, looking at them as they came through that part of the track. Oh, in the foreground, somebody there losing it. That's Ludo, I think, who got it all wrong. And Tynus is going to make the move down the inside here, up into third place. So that's the job done there for Tynus. And Ludo's going to watch out because Jazzman will be on the back of him as well in a few moments' time. But Ludo making a mistake there through the middle part of the lap. Shaking around a little bit there. Looking a bit bumpy here for Ludo. But yeah, Tynus is up into third place nonetheless. As Max Power in the pits here at the end of lap 18. So Max Power, he raced it in. Now where is he going to come out in relation to our Lamper? Because our Lamper obviously changed tyres and fuel. Max Power is already off the jacks, I think. So he is away. So obviously both Max Power and our Lamper have changed tyres and put fuel in. Max Power is now out of the pits and away. So did he not have to put as much fuel in maybe as our Lamper? Our Lamper coming down the start finish straight behind Glenn. He'll be putting a lap on Glenn very shortly. But there is Max Power coming into turn 1. And there is our Lamper, only about 3 seconds behind him, so it's not much really between them here. In fact, Max Power's made a mistake there through turn 2, so our Lamper will be right on the back of him here, I think. There's Max Power, and there is our Lamper, so it's just over a second here between these two. And this could be the net battle for the lead, could be not. It depends really on what the others are doing on strategy, but they've definitely half-tanked it here, and they're going to have fresh tyres here for this second stint. But I think the rest of them have all full tanked it here. So they're going to obviously have a much shorter pit stop, but will not have the fresh tyres that these two have. And if these two are sensible, they're not going to fight each other too hard. They'll just get in line, get the laps down, make sure that they can gain on the leaders, the top 5 right now, who probably will not have to pit for tyres or fuel. So Luca leads by 4 seconds over Tynus. Luca, the highest runner of those that we think are going to be full tanking and going to the end on one set of tyres. And there is the rest of that pack. And Tynus, I'll tell you what, he's started to respond here because he's now extending the gap to Jazzman a little bit. So Jazzman was gaining on him, but Tynus is now keeping that gap at over 2 seconds. So currently Tynus getting it down a little bit here. He's 4 seconds behind Luca at this point. But I tell you what, this is anyone's race here. This could be probably, yeah, anyone's race. It literally could be any one of 7 drivers, I think, in with a shout of winning this race. This is going to be a fascinating second stint to this one. But Tynus is definitely gaining on Luca at this point. He gained 3/10 through just the first sector there. So Tynus definitely on a bit of a roll here, on a bit of a charge. But I guess it's anyone's guess as to when these 5 are going to be coming into the pits, because they don't need to be changing tyres or fuel, so they can literally come in at any time. It's not really, there's no constraints or pressure on them as to when to come in. Yellow Army into the pits here at the end of lap 20, so he's coming in to make his mandatory pit stop. Our Lamp are really close on the back of Max Power, but I said before, these two, if they're clever, they'll work together here because they're in that battle for the win, having been out the front on their own for most of the race, but half tanking it and obviously changing tyres as well. They're going to have lost out in terms of their pit stop time because they've spent so much longer in the pit box than these 5 who are full tanking it will when they come in. So as I said before, this could be anyone's race. It's going to be fascinating to see how this pans out, it really is. Lampa going a bit deep there, coming through turn 1. Can't really get a run on Max Power at the moment. Max Power was keeping Lampa behind him in the first stint. It was Max Power who got the jump on Lampa. Lampa obviously on pole position. Max Power managing to get ahead of him around the outside into turn 1 and pulled away actually initially in the first stint, and then Lampa started to get a bit of a head of steam towards the end of the first stint, started reeling him in and was on the back of him before they came into the pits, but Max Power managing to keep track position over Lampa and in a solid position right now to keep ahead of him as long as he doesn't make a mistake. But Lampa's putting him under significant pressure at this point. In the meantime, Jazzman's closed in on Tynus significantly. He's now under 2 seconds here, so Jazzman's been getting some good work done in the last couple of laps. The gap was 2.2 about 2 laps ago, so Jazzman gaining 2-3 tenths a lap here on Tynus in the house. Tynus not really making the gains that he'd like to be on Luca at the moment. He did bring the gap down a little bit on that lap by about 2 or 3 tenths. Jazzman gaining a couple of tenths on Tynus, so they're all concertinaing here. Obviously Ludo and PS Fit's dropping off the pace a little bit, so I reckon it's going to be between Luca, Tynus, Jazzman and Max Power and Lampa. I reckon that's going to be the battle for the win, as PS Fit's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 21. But these guys continuing around here. Oh, Max Power's gone really deep there coming through that section. Lampa's alongside him here. They're going to be side by side into the penultimate corner, and Lampa pushes Max Power wide onto the grass a little bit. He goes onto the gravel. Oh, and Lampa there gets the move done, but Max Power's going to be shaking with rage over that one, as he was definitely pushed out a little bit. Lampa there gaining the position. I think Lampa might argue that Max Power should have backed out of that one. He was on the outside and there was no way on earth he was going to be able to get around the outside of him there. But nonetheless, Lampa there a little bit aggressive with how he he restricted his space. He maybe could have given him space. I know you have to take a wide line through that corner because that curve on the inside spits you out really quite violently. So Max Power there is now 2.5 seconds behind Lampa, and Lampa, if this is the battle for the win, then Lampa definitely in with a shout here. But obviously we've got to wait and see what happens with the pit stops as well. Sure, I'm starting to wonder if Lampa and Max Power did change tyres, because they are actually only about 30 seconds off for the lead at this point. As Lampa just putting a lap there on Epiphany, but they're only 30 seconds off for the lead. So maybe they didn't change tyres, but surely they would have, because they were so quick in the first stint. But that just doesn't add up to me. I was sure they did, but maybe they didn't. I mean, I was a bit perplexed as to how quick Max Power was in the box, but I'm starting to question now whether that was actually real. In the meantime, Tynus there has just made the move on Spuzz. Spuzz a lap down and Spuzz loses it there. Gets a bit of a helping hand from Jazzman as Jazzman comes through. And Spuzz there in the background there, losing ground, but obviously he won't be a lap down by the time these guys come into the pits to make their mandatory pit stop. Jazzman's still on the back of Tynus here, so these guys not too far away from Luca as well. 2.5, 3 seconds off for the race leader, but they're batting over second and third places. Luca's now into the pits here at the end of lap 24. Tynus in the house and Jazzman coming over the line here to start lap 25. And it's Tynus now leading ahead of Jazzman. Can Tynus weather this storm? Jazzman has been about, I'd say on average, maybe about 2 or 3 tenths a lap quicker than Tynus. He now finds himself in striking distance, maybe about 3 or 4 tenths rather than 2 or 3. But obviously you have to be significantly quicker to be able to make an overtake here, so I wonder if Tynus is just going to try and soak up this pressure, not try and outpace him, just try and outsmart him, park his car in the right places and not give him anything to work with. So where's Luca come out in all of this? He's been into the pits. Oh, as we see, Max Power's lost it there. Did he have a tap there? Did somebody push him around? I think he was in the middle of a load of back markers there. Max Power has made a mistake, or something's happened to him here, and that's going to drop him out of that battle with Ludo, who's cleared those back markers there. That's Epiphany and Brando there, who I think have caught Max Power out there. But yeah, Ludo continues on his way nonetheless. But Luca's come out. He's come out 6 seconds clear of Arlampa. And Arlampa's come out ahead of Ludo. So Arlampa 6 seconds behind Luca. That's the big thing here. Because Luca was about... he was about a few seconds clear of Tynus and Jazzman. About 3 seconds clear. So as it stands, Arlampa's about a net 3 seconds behind Tynus and Jazzman, but with fresh tyres on. So he'll have the pace over Tynus and Jazzman, and if these two continue to battle, they could be about to throw away the race win here to Arlampa. But Max Power now out of that battle for the win due to that spin as he was lapping some traffic. But Tynus and Jazzman still batting it out the front, 0.2 of a second between these two old rivals. Jazzman, the champion of this season, we already know that. He wrapped it up last week at Brands Hatch. But he's battling for the lead here with Tynus, who was obviously the runner-up in the championship in the first season here for the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship here at Motive. And these two continue to have a great little duel out the front. But they've got to look out for Arlampa, because I think that he's going to have the pace here at the end of this race with what I think are fresher tyres than them. I think. Saying that, he only gained a 10th on Luca there through the first sector, so again, I don't know. It's really difficult to know, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up otherwise. That's the thing. Pretty sure Arlampa must have changed tyres. I mean, he definitely did, because he was about 10, 11, 12 seconds clearer of Luca before we came in, and Luca's now 18 seconds clear of him, so Arlampa definitely did change tyres. I think that's a given. Jazzman is into the pits here at the end of lap 26. Tynus in the house, still out there at the moment. But the question is now, does Tynus come in to cover off Jazzman, or does he stay out and try and outpace him over these next few laps? Jazzman, I think, is going to be on and off the jacks in no time. Yeah, About 7 or 8 second pit stop there for Jazzman, so wasting no time there. He's going to come out, I think, close with Arlampa, but Arlampa's going to come out, I think, just ahead. Oh, it's going to be close here between these two. Arlampa's going to go around the outside of turn 1. Surely he's going to have that done on warmer tyres. Jazzman on the cold tyres coming through turn 2. Arlampa gets that done. So Arlampa has P3 currently, but Jazzman will be on the back of him soon, and obviously, but the thing is, Arlampa has fresher tyres than Jazzman, so it's going to be a real challenge here for Jazzman to actually get ahead of him. So Arlampa could be in the box seat for a race win, but he's not really gaining on Luca at all. Luca's currently running in second place, and he's gapping Arlampa at this point. But Luca definitely didn't change tyres. Or no, he definitely did, is what I'm trying to say. No, he definitely didn't. He definitely didn't, because he's running long into the race. So Luca's definitely running on the same tyres he started the race on, which makes no sense as to how he's managing to outpace Arlampa, because Arlampa surely did. I don't know. It's confusing. It's really confusing. Because Arlampa's gaining no ground at all here on Luca whatsoever. But Tyner's still staying out for the time being and showing no signs of coming in just yet. Tony's okay saying Jazzman be doing that speed run to first challenge. He's doing something from first to challenge. He's doing a 15 from first to challenge. He started in P15 at the start of the race. So looking down the inside here of Arlampa into turn 1. Arlampa goes a little bit wide. Jazzman's got a bit of himself alongside him, but Arlampa would have the inside for turn 2. Manages to weather the storm for the time being. Jazzman's really trying to turn up the pressure here, and he's got a good exit here, but he's not going to get the move into the right, into the left-hander, should I say. As they come down towards the end of the first sector here, it's Arlampa still holding on by the skin of his teeth here ahead of Jazzman, but Jazzman is really trying to get on with this here. Knows he's in a battle with Tynus, who's still yet to pit, and the more time he spends behind Arlampa, the more he's going to lose to Tynus. Arlampa's not really doing anything here, to be honest. I would have thought he'd have fresh tyres on with the amount of time he spent in the pits, but clearly not. And yeah, I don't really know what's happened with his strategy, but yeah, he's not got the pace that I would have expected him to have at this point. Maybe damage or something, I don't know. From the contact with max power, maybe some damage that isn't really obvious. Underfloor maybe suspension damage, because he is looking a bit bouncy there as he came down the hill. But whatever the case, Arlampa's not got the pace that I would expect him to have at this stage, especially if he has fresh tyres on, which I'm pretty sure he must. And Jazzman will be looking to pick him off ASAP and waste the minimal time here, but Tynus in the house still out the front, still leading the race by 24 seconds over Luca. Arlampa's actually gained a bit on Luca on that previous lap, so is he now starting to make the most of these fresh tyres? Jazzman's still pressuring the back of Arlampa here. Now the question has got to start turning to when does Tynus pit? That'll be when we know what the situation is really, in terms of who's going to have track position. PS Vids has lost out to Max Power and Ludo, I'm not sure where, but those guys now in 5th and 6th places. Was that already? No, I don't think it was. So here we come then out of the last corner once again. It's Arlampus still holding that podium place, but Jazzman's trying everything he possibly can as these guys are now starting to reel in Luca quite quickly here. They gained 8/10 on Luca on that last lap. Gap just under 6 seconds. So as it stands, they're not reeling in Luca quickly enough, but Luca's tyres maybe started to go off a little bit now as it's been on these since the start of the race, but then again so has Jazzman. Arlampus should have that advantage in the closing stages. Tinus in the house staying out for the time being, showing no signs of bringing it in just yet. Jazzman throwing a little fade to the inside, gives Arlampus a bit of a tap in the rear, almost there, almost coming together. They're coming around to put a lap on Spuzz, who's just in the foreground there going through the shot. So Spuzz down in P12. He was lapped earlier by Jazzman, and this is the second time he's been lapped by him because obviously Jazzman came into the pits, which then reinstated Spuzz onto the lead lap. But Arlampus still keeping Jazzman at bay by the skin of his teeth here. These guys haven't really gained on Luca anymore over the course of this lap, so I think Luca looking pretty safe there in what might even be the net race lead here. So Luca could be in a fantastic position here. Tinus, has he come in? No, he's staying out still. Oh, as Arlampus tapping Spuzz in the side a little bit there. Jazzman will look to try and seize on this if he can and make the most of Arlampus' little skirmish coming down the start finish straight. Here we go. Jazzman looking to the outside. Arlampus got the inside. Jazzman might have this done coming into turn one. Arlampus got to go a little on the brakes, but Jazzman covers him off there into the braking zone. Moves across just before they get to the braking zone. Arlampus tries to go around the outside, goes late on the brakes. Can he have the inside for turn two? No, he doesn't. Jazzman gets it done into turn two, up into third place. Beautifully executed there from Jazzman, and he is now your man in third place. Arlampus there down to fourth, but can Jazzman reel in Luca in these final few laps? I don't think he'll be able to, because they would have lost a bit of time there battling each other, and we're only going to have about 4 or 5 more laps I think in this race, so it's going to be a real stiff test for Jazzman if he can reel in Luca. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. So Luca could still be a net race leader here. It all depends on how quick Tinus' pit stop's going to be, really. That's going to be the maker or the breaker here. And when does Tinus pit? He clearly thinks that he's better off staying out. He clearly feels like he's gaining time by staying out compared to coming in. But his gap is 26 seconds to Luca, so I think that Luca could maybe be in with a shout of winning this final race of the season. Tinus and Jazzman obviously doing their last to first challenge. Luca was running in third in the first stint. It was Arlampus and Max Power who were battling out at the front, but those two I think definitely half tanking it. Luca going with the full tank. He's doing the whole race on one set of tyres, and it looks to have paid off so far for him. He's kept them in decent check as he starts lap 32. It's Tinus still out the front. He's got some traffic in the shape of who's that in front of him? It's Matev there, who's just ahead of Tinus, so Tinus will be putting a lap on Matev in a few moments' time. Tinus has been driving with damage for the entire race as well. You can see the front of the car took a bit of a knock in the early stages, not big damage, but a decent amount. Tinsel in the comments saying, "Let's go, Bentley." Currently it's Bentley leading the race, but for how much longer? Because Tinus might not keep the lead once he comes in, because Luca's running in second place at the moment. Although having said that, Tinus has actually gained on Luca a little bit over the last couple of the laps. Arlampus is on the back of Jazzman still, but Jazzman is starting to increase the tempo and pull away a little bit from him, but Jazzman's not really making an impression on Luca here. So Luca I think definitely safe in at least P2, potentially P1 in this final race of the season. We've got Totally Okay saying Arlampus defending good. He was doing a great job. Jazzman eventually managed to find a way through. Damn, that Tinus and Jazzman are good, says Guido Christ, and fast. Totally Okay. Sergio Perez tyre defending. Guido Christ, I'm just wondering what race pace these guys are getting. High 42 or mid 41, said Tinus. I think that's... Oh, sorry, Totally 0K, sorry. I think that's pretty much the sort of region. Jazzman gaining on Luca over the course of this lap. He's brought it down by nearly a second just on this lap alone, but I think he's too far away. He's not going to get there in time, and Luca should be able to hold on for that position, but Tynus is quicker than Luca at this point. He's extending that gap at the moment. Here's Tynus in the house. The tyre conservation master here is Tynus, and he's doing everything right here in the last part of this race, but Luca, I think, is within his pit window. I think that Luca, as it stands, will definitely come out ahead of Tynus. Tynus has got more work to do. He needs to keep extending that gap. He's surely going to leave it until the latest possible moment that he can here. I think he'll be able to come in the end of lap 34 and still get in and out before the checkered flag is waved. He needs to make sure he starts the final lap, obviously, before the checkered flag is waved. Otherwise, he'd finish the race in the pits, and that would be illegal. But 20 of you currently watching the stream here in the closing stages of Season 3 for the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship. If you guys are enjoying what you're watching, please smash the like button. First time I've asked that here during the Tier 1 race tonight, but guys, if you are enjoying, please do so. It helps us out an enormous amount. As we've got GGJ in the comments there saying, wait, Jazzman isn't in P1? No, he did a last to first challenge. Yeah, Toadies are okay fitting in GGJ on the situation here tonight. Tynus still leading. But to be fair, Tynus did do a last to first challenge, and he could be in the fight for the win here, depending on what his gap to Luca is, because I think a pit stop's about 30 seconds. His gap to Luca is about 27. So I think Luca's still within a chance. I think Luca's still likely to come out in the lead here, unless he makes a mistake. I think that Luca should have this win. It all depends on how quick Tynus' pit stop is. Jazzman is bringing the gap down to Luca, but it's not enough. He's not going to get there in time. He's gaining about half a second a lap, and that's nowhere near what he needs. He needs to be gaining about 2 seconds a lap if he is to have any chance of getting ahead of Luca and potentially winning this race. Will it be his first win if Luca wins? I think he might have won at Misano, or no, I can't remember. Do you know what? I'll have to look this up. Don't think he did, no. I think I'm thinking of something different. Yeah, he did win at Misano last season. Luca did win at Misano. So yeah, it wouldn't be his first win, it'd be his second win. But Tynus in the house into the pits here at the end of lap 33. Last possible moment that he could have done it realistically here, as Luca's coming through the final few corners. In fact, no, it's actually lap 34. And Tynus is off and away. So he is now moving as we're now coming around the final corner here with Luca starting the final lap. Tynus is out of the pits. So Tynus, I think he's going to do it. Just about. I think Tynus in the house has just got enough here. Luca's coming down the start finish straight. There is Tynus coming into turn 1 right now. I think Tynus in the house will take the win. He's just come out with enough of a gap. Luca there has got much warmer tyres. He's within 2 seconds of him. Can he have a crack here on his final lap? Tynus has just got to keep it together and keep his cool here. He's got some traffic just ahead of him on cold tyres as well, but the traffic gets well out of his way. That's Lol 3000, who wastes no time moving aside here for Tynus and Luca as well. Jazzman there running in third place, a couple of seconds ahead of Arlampa, but Tynus in the house from the back of the pack here tonight. Started in 16th place, made incredible gains here in the first few laps. Did much better than Jazzman did. These two making a last to first challenge. Tynus in the house leads here on the final lap at Kyalami. He's got 1.7 to Luca. He's made the long strategy work here as Tynus in the house, going the full race on one set of tyres, going to the final lap of the race. And Tynus has just got to bring it around the final sector here. You can see Luca gaining a little bit on his much warmer tyres, but Tynus in the house has played it absolutely brilliantly here tonight. Managed to outpace his rival Jazzman. So what a performance from Tynus in the house this has been. as he comes through the final few corners. And I tell you what, it's not been the best of seasons. He's had a couple of disconnects and a few reliability issues which have cost him wins and cost him podiums here this season, but he's going to cap it off with a great performance here at Kyalami. It's going to be the victory for Tynus in the house. What a drive from him for the final time this season. He takes the checkered flag. Tynus in the house is your winner. Luca takes second place. A flash of lights from both of them, showing the respect to each other. Jazzman comes over to take third place, our champion for this season. Lamper takes fourth in the end, ahead of Max Power, who's coming into the final corner, a couple of seconds clear of Ludo. Somebody losing it there in the background. Not sure who it was losing the car there, but Max Power takes fifth ahead of Ludo in sixth. PS Spitz will take P7 in the end. Not a bad result for him at the end, but I'm sure he'd have wanted to be in the top five. Mary Louise is coming to the final sector. Lol 3000 has finished the race in 11th. A lap down, Spuzz in 12th. Epiphany finishes in 13th with Yellow Army just behind him in 14th. Couldn't quite get there. Brando takes 15th place in the end. Mary Louise with the next over the line as he's coming through the final couple of corners here. Be an 8th place finish for Mary Louise, who's just ahead of Tom Quarantine. Tom Quarantine charging after Mary Louise here at the end, but Mary Louise will just hold on here for 8th place ahead of Tom Quarantine, who will come over in 9th. As Matev will be the next driver over the line. He'll be the last driver on the lead lap to take P10 here tonight, as he comes up and around the final corner and over the line here to take P10. And Glenn GT, the last driver to finish the race, in 16th place. All 16 that started finished, which is great to see. Tynus in the house, your race winner tonight, ahead of Luca and Jazzman completing the podiums. Congratulations to Tynus. Congratulations to Jazzman on taking the championship. Obviously, we knew that he'd done it last week at Brands Hatch, so massive congratulations to him. But what a drive from Tynus in the house, from the back of the pack all the way to the win, and Luca there missed out by 2 seconds. Obviously he took his first win at Motive last season in Misano, but couldn't do it tonight here at Kyalami. But guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in live here tonight on the Motive Racing YouTube channel, and all season here for the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship across both tiers. We had great turnouts throughout the whole season. We had 40 plus every week, apart from this week where we had 35 drivers turn out for the final round, but less to play for. It's usually a lesser turnout for the final round, is to be expected. But what a season we've had. I've enjoyed every single minute of it. Thanks to all the drivers and to everybody who's commented over the course of this season. And also, guys, the drivers, please look out for the sign-ups tomorrow. They'll be going live in the afternoon at some point, so we'll be getting that up tomorrow afternoon. If anybody watching this season is tempted to get involved, if you've been itching to become a part of the action, now's your chance. You can get involved at www.motiveracing.com. The sign-ups, as I said, will be out tomorrow. But thanks everybody once again, and yeah, we'll see you next season. And yeah, thanks everybody again. See you soon. Good night.